get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell.
What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday night to you all. Hope I'm coming in okay. Yeah, tested this out last night on the Revival House show. Got a new computer, new setup here. My previous computer literally blew up. Like, when I say blow up, I don't mean like, but it expanded and grew. And one day I just, we did the blood sucking shit suckers in Pittsburgh live stream, and I mentioned that I've had a feeling because my computer something was wrong, and then a few days later I take a look at it and it's literally warped and all out of fucking whack. So I had to quickly rush out, grab a new computer. This one's apparently good for what I need it for, and hopefully everything's coming out okay. Seemed to work all right last night with the Revival House guys. That was a lot of fun. Go back, check that out last night. 4.5 hour deep dive into another issue of Room Work magazine. We had a guest with us last night, Kevin Hoover, one of the writers, contributors to Room Work magazine, joined us for the entire 4.5 hours. That dude was a trooper, and really interesting stuff. Really cool information about his time with the magazine, working for the magazine, how shit happens behind the scenes. So yeah, check that out. It's on my page. It's under the collaborations section on my page, so you can find it there. But yeah, what's going on, guys? It's Saturday. I am freaking wore out. Like, I'm just beat. Like, after a long week of work, 4.5 hours on the Revival House show last night talking about Room Work magazine, and today I spent pretty much my entire day running around Evansville trying to find any and all K-pop Demon Hunter posters that I could find, because we decided that it's time to redo Everly's bedroom. We hadn't really done anything with it since she was born, and she's 5 years old now. And at a certain point, she kind of, a few years ago, actually, she kind of outgrew Coco Melon, which is what her bedroom was originally. So decided, well, okay. And she told me, she was like, Dad, I don't want to be in there. It's ugly in there. I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's time for an upgrade. So so I spent my entire Saturday upgrading and redoing my daughter's room. So it's a lot of fun moving furniture around, doing a little decorating. I love interior decorating. That was my real calling in life, I think. But yeah, so tonight, just hopping on here. Like I said, I didn't have a computer all week, so that's why I really didn't do too much on the channel throughout this week. I felt kind of shitty, but I didn't really have any access to anything, or really the ability to do anything. So I didn't really have time to really plan out anything or work on anything. So I figured, what the hell, let's do this. We've had some pretty fun group episodes here past few weeks. The draft last week was fucking phenomenal. That was just a blast to do with Matt, Michelle, Grande. So I figure, what the hell, let's get on here tonight. Let's just try to catch up on some of the news. Let's catch up on some of the Living Dead weekend news that they've dropped, some guest announcements. Let's go to the website, check it out, see if they've announced any new photo ops, because they seem to do that kind of under the cover of night. They don't really make a big thing about the photo ops. Usually you can kind of go on there and like see, like, oh, there's something new that they've added, but they haven't really announced it yet. So yeah, I figure we'll just take a look at the Living Dead weekend website. We're really, really close. We are officially on the road to Living Dead weekend. I think I have five live streams left, 5 weekends left before it's time. It's pretty crazy. And I'll let you guys know what to expect within the next 5 weeks. I already got kind of the show's plan, kind of an idea of what I want to do leading up to the show. So we'll talk about that as well. I do have a stack of Blu-rays that I've picked up over the past few weeks that I meant to get to a few weeks ago, but didn't get a chance to. But I figure, if the questions aren't coming in and it kind of slows down, I got nothing else to talk about, I guess we'll pull out these Blu-rays and we'll just talk about some movies a little bit and give you my thoughts on some of these releases here, and a couple of few other things that I picked up over the past few weeks. I figure I'll pull out and we'll talk about it. So good to see everybody in the chat already tonight. Like I said, it's Ask Me Anything, which basically means it's not a Q&A session or anything. Although I did see Satan pop in here first tonight with an interesting question. Hello, Alpha. What's going on, Satan? Always good to have Satan in the house. Alpha, just curious, top three favorite bands. I love this question. I think about this question all the time because my taste in music is so all over the place. I've had so many different favorite bands over the years. I get really obsessed with a band. Um, and like that's my thing for a while. But then there are those few bands that just stand the test of time for me that I can listen to at any point in my life, um, and just feel it, 100% feel it. Um, so I've had like obsessive periods with certain bands. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers was a big one for a few years. I was all about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Still am. I still love Tom Petty. Jack White was a big one for a while there. I was really into Jack White for quite a few years. But then there was always seems to be a period there where it just kind of I don't know a new album drops or something, and it's not really my cup of tea, and then it just kind of you kind of lose touch with certain bands and artists over time. But if I were to give my top three, the three bands that I can listen to at any time and be completely at ease with, I would say probably number three. Just off the top of my head, I'm probably forgetting some shit, but probably off the top of my head, number three would probably be Brand New. The band Brand New, they're one of like the most mysterious bands to me because it's like every album they drop is really different. It's like every album that they put out got darker and darker and more depressing, and I just love them. I can listen. I just pick an album depending on my mood or what how I'm feeling. And The Devil and God Are Raging Inside of Me is one of my all-time favorite albums. I can listen to front to back, and it's just this cinematic journey into depression or I don't know what. But Brand New would probably be up there. Depeche Mode is probably number two. Depeche Mode for me is like just one of those bands that I can listen to anytime. The various periods of Depeche Mode, 90s Depeche Mode, 80s Depeche Mode, love it. Um, but I gotta say, like my number one favorite band of all time, and growing up, I was hugely inspired by Nirvana when I was younger. But Nirvana is one of those bands that I don't really listen to a lot anymore, to be honest with you. Like I used to idolize Kurt Cobain when I was younger, like when I was a teenager, early 20s. Like Kurt Cobain was my guy. Like he was like the Romero of music for me back in the day. But the older I've gotten, the more I've learned about Kurt. Like the less I've more I the less I like him, really. Like, there's just certain things, like, especially after becoming a father. And I remember after having Everly, I remember seeing a video. I don't know if what it was, but it was a video of him like all fucked up on heroin, like in front of his like young daughter and stuff. And it's just like, I get it. The dude had fucking problems, but goddamn, at some point, Jesus. Um, so yeah, there's just a few things over the years that I've just kind of like, eh. So Nirvana would have been on the list for a long period of time, probably not now. But the one band that I can remember going all the way back to when I was young that I can still listen to today, because again, kind of like Brand New, and this is a long-winded answer to this question, but I love this question, and it's one that I don't get to talk about very often on here. So, um, but for me, Silverchair. I'm a huge Silverchair fan. Huge Silverchair fan. I am obsessed with Daniel Johns. I think he's like this weird genius. I mean, you kind of have to be a musical genius to write your first platinum album in the United States at age 12 or 13 or whatever it was. And I'm not talking about like Hanson or something. Like this was, you know, he's super musically inclined dude, amazing voice, one of my favorite singers, vocalists out there. And his style of music has changed dramatically over the years. Like he started out as kind of grunge, like everybody kind of looks at Silverchair, especially in the US. Everybody knows Frog Stomp. A lot of people know Freak Show. Quite a few people know Neon Ballroom, but it's kind of like that after Neon Ballroom is when they really just transcended into genius for me. Like Diorama was an album that when I first heard it when in 2003 when that album dropped, or 2002, and I was at that age where I was like 14, 13, 15, something like that, and I was already a huge Silverchair fan. But Diorama was so different that it really challenged me as a young, like I really wanted to like it when I first heard it, but it was so fucking different. I was just like, what is this shit? But the more I listened to it, the more I listened to it, the more it just seeped into my brain. And now like that is like one of my all-time favorite albums, period. One of the most underrated albums ever made. It's just beautiful from start to finish. And then of course they did, Young Modern after that a couple of years later, and then they broke up, and then he's kind of been doing this solo stuff, which again, like with Diorama, is kind of it's one of those things where you have to let it grow on you over time. Because when I first heard it again, like Diorama, I was like, "What is he doing? Like, what is he doing?" But the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, "Oh, this is really, really good. There's something really interesting here." So yeah, for me, Daniel Johns, Silverchair, it's got to be my number one now. I mean, it's they're not a band that I listen to all the time, but every now and then when I do, I fall down that rabbit hole really fucking hard, and I'm like, okay, I'm back in it. Like Neon Ballroom, amazing album. My least favorite album is probably Frog Stomp, their first album that they did when they were, fucking children. They were 13 years old and they were the hottest thing, and it was just like, But it's a fine album, but it's like musically, it's not their, not even close to the peak of what they eventually would go on to do. So yeah, thank you for letting me answer that long-winded answer, but great question. Love it, Satan. Always rely on Satan to bring the good. So appreciate it, my man. But let's see who else we got in here. I saw Matt chiming in here, Drone of the Dead. What's going on, brother? That's right, Molchat Doma. There we go. That's another one that I've been listening to quite a bit here lately. Great band, great band. They're not from Russia. I always think of them as like a Russian band, but I can't think of the country that they're from. But they're from like you know somewhere in that area. I don't know, but um, really interesting stuff too. Um, saw Bonnie in here with one of my favorite Bonnie chat of all time, Hell Satan, absolutely. I saw Synth popping in here. Hey, all in and out, all show, not a euphemism or euphemism. That's an easy word for me to say, euphemism. Yeah, come on, Synth. Got to keep your head out of that gutter. Keep your head out of the gutter, man. Are you still in Hawaii? Like Synth has been like in Hawaii all week, sending pictures and updates from fucking Hawaii. I'm like, hell yeah, man, live it up while you're out there. Um, got Michelle in the house, our winner from last week, the Romero Zombie Survival Squad draft winner. Michelle just completely kicked all of our asses. Me, Matt, Grande, what's going on, brother? Kicked his ass as well. What didn't seem fair at the end, but again, I will always default to the fact that I had Dead Reckoning, and I don't care who the hell is in it. As long as one person, four of my people could die, and as long as there's one person left to fucking drive that thing around and just, they can survive. They can make it work. But I will bow to Michelle there. She played it very well. So can't disparage her efforts. Bauhaus meets Clan of Zymox. I've never heard of them. Meets Visage. Yeah, definitely a lot of Bauhaus influence in that. Molchat Doma for sure. We got Frankie in the house. Horror Rock dude, what's going on, man? Are you gonna be at Living Dead weekend coming up here in a few weeks? Good. Be cool to see you again, my man. We got John Vulo in the house. What's up, John Vulo? Good to see John. I know John will be there. John, are you still going to be bringing your mysterious partner in crime that we have yet to meet, sir? I think it was Michelle. There was something about that stream that just there was something about it just didn't feel right while I was doing it. I felt dirty while I was watching that fucking movie, and I guess it came back to bite me in the ass. So, what can you do? But yeah, hopefully this new computer works out all right. I paid a little extra for it just to make sure that everything goes as planned, and so I guess so far so good. So we'll see what happens here. Yeah, Satan. Kevin was a really cool dude. I was like, by like the 3.5, 4 hour mark, it's just like I was like starting to feel for the guy. I was like, oh, this dude's probably like dying to go to fucking bed here. But super cool, man. Had a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about. He actually did one of the articles on the Magic the Gathering, which I know nothing about Magic the Gathering, and I really didn't think I would really care about it, to be honest with you. But hearing him talk about it, it did kind of like, it was kind of interesting. And seeing that artwork was really cool. So Magic's just, like I said, like the card games and stuff like that's just something I've never been aware of or really on my radar. But yeah, it was really cool having him. I really enjoyed hearing his stories and hearing him talk about how he got involved with a publication like Roomwork magazine. It was very cool. Steven Ustrack Jr.'s in the house. What's going on, my man? Howdy, campers. Howdy, Steven. Got Ed in the house. What's going on, Ed? Got the sound is great. Very cool. The video is slightly pixelated, not as crisp. Could just be my internet. I don't know, man. My internet completely shit out last night. I got the new computer and everything, and then last night, right in the middle of our stream over on the Revival House channel, fucking just completely died for like a solid 5 to 10 minutes. So hopefully that doesn't happen tonight, because if that happens tonight, the whole fucking thing's going off the air and that'll just be the end of it. Luckily, I was on somebody else's, so they could kind of pick up the slack. Um, so yeah, let's cross our fingers. Um, Frankie says, I know it's not relevant since this is a Romero Films based thing, but RIP Bo Star. Yeah, the main cop in Halloween 4 and 5. Yeah, I saw that before I got on here. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with a lot of his work. I know him from, the Halloween films and whatnot. I've probably seen him in some other stuff, but hey, what can I'm trying to think. He's one of those guys that has a familiar face, but trying to pinpoint different stuff that he was in, I can't off the top of my head. But yeah, that's very sad we lost him. But we also earlier this week, David Allan Coe passed away as well. Which I don't know if you guys are country western fans, but that was always kind of a name that my papa was a big David Allan Coe fan. So when I was younger, used to hear that name a lot. Like he had a lot of his CDs and stuff. He'd listen to him all the time. Which the older I got, the more I found out about David Allan Coe. Um, and maybe I liked him a little less for various reasons. I mean, if you look into it, I mean, he was a little bit of a racist. There are certain songs out there that would point you in that direction. But also the fact that I don't want to come in here and just shit on David Allan Coe, R.I.P. But I don't know. It also apparently he had. So I wouldn't even say a friend of mine, but an old acquaintance of mine, a very loose acquaintance. Like more so, we were like basically like it was more combative more than anything. Like we hung out a few times, and we were kind of running in the same circles, same friends and stuff like that. But he ended up marrying David Allan Coe's daughter, Tanya Montana Cole, and apparently he just in over the years, David Allan Coe just kind of cut off all communication with his children and didn't have anything to do with Tanya or any of his kids. And she apparently would try to reach out to him over the years, and he would just ignore her, wouldn't respond. And even right at the end of his life, I think a few years ago, I think it was a few years ago, she tried again, and he just has said he had no interest in having any communication with her whatsoever. So that really made me like, fuck this guy. Like, so RIP David Allan Coe, but whatever. Anyway, just I didn't intend on come on here and just shit all over David Allan Coe, but what the hell, we're here. Five Below has a lot of K-pop Demon Hunter stuff. I didn't look there. I was like I went to Spencer's, went to the mall today, checked out Spencer's. They had a couple of posters. And it pissed me off because I got a couple of posters from Spencer's, and I got a couple of posters from the local Mega Replay here. And then I found the same goddamn posters at Walmart like 20 minutes later for like half the price. And I was like, fuck. But again, it's fucking Walmart. So I was just like, fuck them. I don't want to waste my money. They can't have my money even though they're, offering to sell it to me for less. Fuck them. Matt says, hoping for some new photo ops. I want to do the Richard France photo op, but was hoping for more. Yeah, I definitely want that Richard France photo. If I could get a photo, because it's apparently the photo op's supposed to be, like the television station, all disheveled and, shit like that. I'd love to just go shirt and tie, bottle of vodka, and be, the Howard Smith TV host guy. Just get a picture of me as him, and then if I could just get Richard France to just point at me and look angry, like that'll do. Just give me something that makes it look like a dummies reference. I would love that. That would be great. But yeah, I don't know if you've looked or not, but I don't know what other photo ops they've announced. I've floated a few of my ideas to Larry, which he doesn't really have anything to do with the photo ops, but I mean he kind of is in communication with Kevin and those guys. I had a couple of ideas that I thought would be kind of interesting, fun photo ops, especially with some of the guests that they've recently announced. But we'll see. Like I said, we've still got 5 weeks to go, and I'm sure they still have some more guest announcements and So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Stasio, what's going on, brother? Evening all, just me and my African swallow enjoying the show. Yeah, there you go. I saw that and I was like, oh man, it's perfect time. Perfect time to hit him with that reply. What's going on, man? Yeah, the Monty Python quote. Good shit, my man. Good to see you. Granny, a question for you. It's your final dinner. Aw. Why? Granny's always got like depressing fucking questions. Like, well, it's your last night on Earth. What would you do? You have a choice of an appetizer, entree, two sides, dessert, and beverage. Interesting. Okay. All right. Let me think about this one. This is deep. I love food questions. Choice of an appetizer. All right. So I'm the best way I'm going to do this is I'm going to narrow it down. Well, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to say this all goes well together, but I guess that's kind of what you're asking, isn't it? So maybe I should answer it in that way. Appetizer, my favorite appetizer, I think, probably like just I love chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant. That's that you can't beat that. But in terms of like an appetizer, I'm a potato skins guy all day, every day. I love a good potato skin. Entree, two sides, dessert. So if I had potato skins, that's a lot of potato. Um, Although, man, Caesar salad, I do love a Caesar salad. This is a tough fucking question, Grande. Thank you. Entree. You know, I'll because I just love Italian food, man. I'm just an Italian food guy. Entree wise, give me a good like a um, shrimp fettuccine alfredo or something like that. Couple of sides. Just give me salad, dessert. I don't really eat a lot of dessert at restaurants. Beverage, diet Coke, diet Dr Pepper. Like for some reason, like I like beer, I like wine, stuff like that. Although a good red wine with a good pasta dish is pretty good. But yeah, typically just give me a soda. I don't get water. I don't understand how people can fucking drink water when they eat. That's just my Kentucky white trash coming through, I guess. Um, but yeah, maybe I'll come back to this question. I could think of it some more. I wasn't expecting a question like that. But yeah, I'm just a big Italian. I'm a big Italian food guy, or Permani Brothers guy. I'm just so looking forward to that shit. Few weeks away, man. Few weeks away. Um, Hold on. I'm gonna hit him with it. I'm gonna hit him with it. Starting off the night here.
You never know.
Money, money, money. Right.
You never know. Jeff, well, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Down is up. 1974 super chat. Great year for horror. 1974, man. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Black Christmas. Yeah, great year for horror. What's up, Michael and all my fellow Romero family? My question is, how did you meet Michelle and Matt? Well, I met Matt way our first Living Dead weekend, which I can't remember if we actually had any correspondence or any kind of communication before that, but it was 2021, my first Living Dead weekend, his first Living Dead weekend, and walking through the mall with my family, my daughter, who was like 8 months old at the time or something like that. Walking through the mall, Matt's coming down the escalator. I'm walking by the escalator, and he's just like, Michael Lancaster. And I was like, who the fuck is calling my name? Like who I don't know nobody here. Like, what are we doing? And it was Matt. He was just like, oh man, I know you from Facebook, man. It's good to meet. And so we just kind of, and then throughout the rest of that weekend, for some reason, we just kept ending up in the same places. Not just, not the mall. I mean, that wouldn't be quite the coincidence of like, like, oh, you're at the mall again, duh. But we kept ending up at like the yogurt shop down the street. Like, we'd walk in, and then like a couple minutes later, here comes Matt and Stephanie, and it's just like, hey, it's you again. And after a while, it was just like this weird thing where it's like, you know, um, and it was like, okay, I guess we're just destined to be friends after this. So ever since that, so yeah, me and Matt have been friends. God, it's been 5 years now, almost 5 years since me and Matt first met. And then Michelle, I met through Paul Farber, actually. It was last year, yeah, last Living Good weekend in June. Paul came up to me and Will, and Michelle was with Paul, and yeah, it just all just clicked. That's the thing about like Living Dead weekend, man. Like you just run into people and you just meet, and all of a sudden it's like I said, it's like you're talking to people who speak your language. It's like, oh well, obviously we can be friends. Like obviously we're gonna be friends. Like you're obviously cool. Like so yeah, it just happens. I don't know. And then from that moment on, we were all on the same tour, Larry's tour the next morning, and then it was just like we just ended up and just kind of all just kind of became a thing. It was all it's easy to do when you have such a common interest like that, and you'll experience that, man. At here in a few weeks, you just bump into some random guy, and all of a sudden you start talking. You're like, oh shit, we have a lot in common, obviously. So yeah, very cool, man. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And thanks for giving me an opportunity to go back and my first Living Dead weekend. Um, I'm Grande. I'd have to come up with like the perfect combination of like it's my last meal. That would be just the question. What would be your last meal? Your one meal left. What would it be? Um, John says, "Oh, brand new. They're from where I am. My sisters are friends with the guitar player Vinny's sister Nicole. Oh, that's cool, man. I didn't know that. Yeah. I'm a big brand new guy. Like I said, they're just one of those bands. Like every album they come out is just completely different from the last, and it just seems to get darker and darker and darker. And I'm just, I love a band that just never stays the same. It's not afraid to change directions. Yeah, Depeche Mode, love Depeche Mode. That's just one of those that I think my dad passed down to me for some, you know, is my screwing up? Hold on. I'm seeing here in the comments here. Is my internet dying again here? Satan, is this still working? Am I still on the air? Yeah, Michelle saying thought maybe it was her internet. That's interesting because it glitched a bit, says Baba Ganoush. Looks better now. Well, let's hope we don't have an issue like we did last night where it just completely went. I don't understand why it's been doing that. It's never done that before until last night. Oh, oh Lord. On. I'm gonna play something here, and yeah, because I'm noticing my shit's going out again. Why does it keep doing this every night? Almost like at the exact same time. All right, commercial break. I'll be right back.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Signore, with all those fantastic Italian sports cars, why did you buy a Volkswagen Scirocco?
È la più bella macchina mai vista. Meravigliosa, fantastica.
We can see it's beautiful, but what makes the Scirocco so great?
L'andatura, la velocità, la maneggiabilità.
Ah, the speed, the handling, the performance. That's why you bought a Volkswagen Scirocco.
Volkswagen does it again.
All right, I want to thank my thank the sponsors there for helping me out. Am I still here? Is this working a little better? All right. Well, let's fucking roll with it. God Almighty, man, it never fucking ends. Never ends. All right, where the hell was I on this chat here? Fucking hell. I'm way behind. I'm gonna have to roll through these pretty quickly. Yes, Violator. My favorite is Music for the Masses. Violent Masses for me was primo. All it had was a tape deck, 3-player, no iPhone, anything like that. And my dad had 2 tapes. He gave me 2 tapes. He was like, "Here, I got these in the garage if you want to use them, just for something to listen to other than the radio, because I couldn't stand the radio." Gave me Motley Crue's greatest hits and Depeche Mode, Music for the Masses, and I wore fucking Music for the Masses out on repeat. But yeah, Violator. I mean, it's a classic as well. Orgy's up there, man. Orgy's up there. I think Orgy's one of those bands, man. If they could just stuck it out a little longer, that they could have really done some really good shit, I think. Yeah, Frog Stomp. Yeah, that was their like they wrote that fucking album when they were 13 years old, like 13 years old, and they, it blows me away. Yeah, there you go, Landon. What's your top 3 bands? I'm guessing Nine Inch Nails is one of them. There you go. Ed saying top 3: Black Sabbath and Family, Blackfoot, Kitty. That's an interesting one. Hard left turn from Sabbath and Blackfoot going to Kitty. Those are like my my dream girls when I was a goth teenager in high school. Yeah, kicking ass, taking names. Yeah, that's exactly what you did last week. Wasn't even close. I was like, at least maybe try to make it close, but no. It's saying ask Satan what it was like when Ronnie James Dio took over his throne in hell. Yeah, exactly. The cemetery woman, Michelle. Okay, since then I got back last night. Tons of photos to upload since the live stream thing and stuff over there. Very cool, man. Very cool. Glad you made it back safe. Hope you had I hope you had a good time, but I mean it's fucking Hawaii. It's pretty hard to have a bad time in Hawaii, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's the lesson we learned. Don't fuck with the Canadian. Yeah, great job, Michelle. Great job. Frank says for sure, man. You couldn't stop me. Very cool with some of these rare guests. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about them. A couple of these. I mean, they've never done anything. I would have never guessed that they would have done convention, and there are a couple out there. And I'll go ahead and tell you guys, like, we will be doing the it's kind of a tradition now, the Living Dead Weekend preview show coming up on June 7th, Sunday night, June 7th. The return of Larry, which I saw him here in the chat somewhere here. I scrolled past him earlier, but Larry, Lawrence DeVincent will be back with us, and it'll be Ask Larry Anything. Whatever you want to know about Living Dead Weekend. Ask him about guests. Why couldn't you get this guest? Did you try to get this guest? Did you reach out to him? Yada, yada, yada. Whatever you guys want to know, he'll be here, and he'll be here to answer your questions about Living Dead Weekend. So that should be a whole lot of fun. It's been a while since I've had Larry on. I look forward to it. Let's see. Like I said, I'm going to skip around here a little bit. Since it says Depeche Mode is an evergreen fave, but the Alan Wilder period is the best. Also working with Flood and Francois Kevorkian. That's a fucking killer name. Francois Kevorkian. Yeah, I mean, come on. She got Peter. It's hard. It's all, it's an uphill battle after that, because everybody else has some kind of flaw that's going to fuck everything up. At least I was trying to go with the whole, like, well, as long as we got Dead Reckoning, I mean, we can lose a few soldiers, but what the hell. Liquid Cooler. What's going on, man? Cooler 9091. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. John said, unfortunately, not. Her brother lives in London, and her parents are flying her and themselves to England to celebrate her niece's 3rd birthday. She'll be on the 8th and 18th. Ah, come on. Well, that's still pretty cool, taking a trip to London. Funny Cousin October, she was in Ireland same time as Living Good Weekend. I'm hoping to take her to the Berg just for the weekend before the end. Yeah, you get that's the real test. That's when you know, like, is this a keeper or not? You gotta take her to Pittsburgh and see if she'll go on the tour. Not just Larry's tour. I'm talking about take her on the locations tour. Take her to all the little locations. See if she sticks with you after that, then you got a good one. Metzing Granite's tough one. Nine Inch Nails, Deftones, slot 3 is an open rotation. Too many to choose from. Maybe Metallica, Lightning Through Justice area. Lightning Through Justice area. Metallica's another one. Yeah, that I can just listen to it anytime. I'm not in specific areas. I actually really enjoy the '90s era Metallica. Probably my favorite Metallica album is Garage Inc. I think it's just a bunch of covers, but to me, like, all those covers are fucking amazing. All right, so great picks. Nine Inch Nails rules. Metallica definitely on my Mount Rushmore. Yeah. He did. It was under his what was it, Johnny Rebel? Wasn't that his alias for those? Yeah, early era, Deftones, Adrenaline Up Through White Pony. See, I have a lot of bands like that where I just really love a certain era, and then like either my taste change or they go off and lose me, or vice versa. Like Jack White's a perfect example of that. Like I was a huge Stripes guy, loved like his first couple of solo albums, but then he just kind of went off into La La Land, and I was just like, all right, I'm kind of out of the Jack White business. Like the past few records, I haven't really paid much attention to. Yeah, there's a lot of bands like that I just kind of fall out of favor with after a while. But yeah, the three that I named are kind of the ones that I can always throw on any record, any era, and just and dig it, kind of get into it. Liquid Cooler says, I still like Dawn of the Dead 78. Had that country western feel and heavily implemented the original Walking Dead series. Yeah, Dawn definitely. I mean, especially if you want to. I'm a man. It sounds like a David Allan Coe song, right? I'm a man. Resner's a genius. Downward Spiral's a masterpiece. My favorite album of all time. Yeah, that's. One that I think is really underrated is Year Zero. I loved Year Zero when it came out, man. Like that was just like I remember driving home listening to that thing for the first time because With Teeth had come out previously, and I wasn't the biggest fan of With Teeth. It sounded a little too polished, a little too something about it just wasn't what I was looking for. But Year Zero, when I heard that, like it was like fucking mind blowing. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like none of this is going to be. There's no hits on this album, I don't think. But man, as a whole, man, the album was fucking awesome. Liquid Cooler says, I listen to Waylon Jennings, David Allan Coe, old school country. Yeah, I'm an old school country guy as well. Coe is probably like one of my least favorite of that bunch. Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, of course, Hank Williams, man. Like Hank Williams is a karaoke go-to. Not Junior, the original. Hank Senior. And I like Hank the Third as well, but different type of Hank. Well, thank you, Satan. I appreciate that very much, sir. Yeah, don't knock Richard France down the stairs, guys. Everybody, play it safe. Don't act too goddamn crazy around. He may be on to something. Don't fuck with him. Horror Dude says, anyone who hasn't been announced yet, you are hoping for at Living Dead weekend. Oh, yeah, dude, there's a bunch. There's been some names that I know, that I would love to be there, but I don't hold out very much hope for, or I know for sure that they've declined. Which we'll talk to Larry about some of those names when he's on here in a few weeks. But yeah, I mean, God, where do I start? Zilla Clinton, Diane Donati, Tommy Lafitte. There's quite a few that are no longer with us that I didn't get a chance to meet that I would love, like David Early. Like I hated that I never got a chance to meet David Early. Yeah, I mean, there's tons. I mean, if I could just go down the list, I like everybody in that movie. I'd like to just see and say thanks for doing it, man. Appreciate it. It's like what Felcher said. It's just like, hey, thanks for being there. Like, how awesome is that? Like, you were there. Like, yeah, I'm totally down for this, Matt. Let's fucking do it. Will's already been scouting out the fucking wheelbarrows. I don't know if you saw the photo. He's like, look, I found some wheelbarrows. So, what the hell? I'm down to do it. Yeah, people think about final dinner now. Salad, your last dinner. Well, dude, a good salad, man. There's just something about it. If you get a good salad, like a really good salad, man, that's hard to beat sometimes. There you go. That's the correct answer, Stezio. And I don't know why I didn't fucking think of that. Dinner served by Peter because this is just for you. That's my last dinner, man. I need Peter to fucking whip me up some goddamn chicken breast, baked potato, and whatever else he had there on the plate. I think I saw some salad on there as well, so I can turn down David's marriage proposal. That's the correct answer, man. This is Alpha Romero. This is the Alpha Romero channel. That's the answer I should have came up with. Come on now. Chicken parmesan. That's a good one too, man. A good chicken parmesan. Chicken parmesan is hard to beat. Fat Pig the Conqueror. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Love your name again. Ed says my last meal would be peanuts, so I would have an allergic reaction, and they would have to save me before they. Yeah, just make their job harder. That's the goal. Just fuck with them. Yeah, that's a tough question. Grande always does that shit. Like I remember, because I overthink it and I put too much thought into this shit. Because I remember like one of the first times I was on his channel doing his show, he asked me like if I could have dinner with 4 Romero related people, who would they be? And I was like, oh my god, like obviously, like I don't remember who the hell I answered. It was just like I think Dwayne Jones was one. Then I named Richard Rubenstein. I'd love to just kind of fucking figure out his head. George, obviously. I can't remember who the 4th one was, but yeah, I was just like, god damn, just coming out of left field with that toughie. Like when I do 10 questions with somebody, it's usually those type of questions that if you're a fan, you've kind of thought of before. It's like, well, what's your favorite? What's the best? What's it? But Grande's like digging in deep. He comes fucking prepared, man. He don't fuck around. Yeah, you did. Stumped me. Stumped him good. Since saying, yeah, Italian, Mediterranean, Indian, Middle Eastern, Indian food, man. I was just turned on to Indian food here recently, maybe within the last like 5 years or so. And yeah, that's some good shit for sure. Baba Ganoush, what's going on, man? I saw you chiming in earlier when I was fucking with my internet, which hopefully I'm still here. I haven't seen anybody else saying, hey, your shit sucks, man. So hopefully everything's working out here. Let's see. Bonnie says chicken shawarma and Chubby Hubby ice cream. What the hell is chicken shawarma? I don't know this, but I like right before I got on here, I saw it was like a news story where the police were able to convince. I don't even know if it was real or not. Who the hell knows anymore? But that was the police stopped a guy from committing suicide by offering him shawarma, and I was just like, I don't know what the hell that is. So can you elaborate on shawarma for me? Yeah, that's an interesting question, Satan. I don't get that either. But I guess we are still that's what keeps us human, I guess. I don't fucking know. Speaking of the man, there he is, Larry. What's going on, brother? WGON TV, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Sunday, June 7th, Living Dead Weekend preview show. Ask Larry. Don't ask me this shit. I'm gonna have the man on himself. So if you got a question about Living Dead Weekend, guests, events, anything, not even just Living Dead Weekend, because Larry's got the fucking answer. So anything Romero, anything horror, ask Larry. So that'll be a really fun show. Looking forward to it. Okay, so here we are. My internet's fucked up. Yeah, I think you've passed, Michelle. You've passed on that title to me. I think ever since that fucking watch along. I think that's what we're doing here. Yeah. Everybody's saying your shit's fucked up. Your shit's fucked up. Zombie historian, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. I just finished my English PhD focusing on the history of zombies in cinema at Florida State University. Awesome. Looking forward to seeing you all at Living Dead Weekend. Hell yeah, man. Looking forward to seeing you again too. I didn't know that you could get an English PhD focusing on the history of zombie studies though in cinema. It's an interesting degree for sure. But yeah, very cool, man. Yeah, maybe I think that's what it was. The blood-sucking pharaohs in Pittsburgh. Yeah. Do you guys like those commercials? Yeah, that's I throw those on anytime I need to just jump away real quick. That's right. That's right. I left you guys with this. Yeah, there we go. Grande just pre-ordered a Volkswagen. Always selling some shit to Grande. All right. Good, says Steven. All right. So everybody's telling me I'm not looking like shit here. Born to be Rad. What's going on, man? Garrett's announcing. Yes, Garrett will be Born to be Rad. The Rad Man himself will be at Living Dead Weekend finally with the Dead Pit guy. So that will be really cool to finally meet you in person, man. Go check out Born to be Rad's channel. One of the hottest channels on YouTube. Dude's always posting something. Always got some good conversations, some good videos, live streams. Check, and he's always popping up on Dead Pit as well. So check him out. Check him out for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely look forward to finally meeting you, my man. Interesting, John. Believe it or not, Depeche Mode's Poppy first album is my favorite. Yeah, there's like that early era of Depeche Mode for sure. Yeah, very cool. Let's see here. Yeah, Music for the Masses, one of the greatest albums of all time. I agree. Bubba Ganoush saying Downward Spiral. Oh, there we go. Now I'm nervous. I keep looking over. I'm like, is my shit working? Am I still going here? Because I can tell when I'm trying to click on the shit. Like it's a little choppy. I don't know why. And I'm literally plugged directly into the fucking. I think it's just something with the internet here recently. All right, here we go. Fat Pig the Conqueror says I found Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood in our elementary school's lost and found. Wasn't mine, but I took it anyway. That's the correct thing to do, sir. Correct answer on that one. John says Beatles, Who, The Doors. Old school. All right. Froze up again for a minute. Face that was hilarious. Well, I'm glad at least when I'm having my technical difficulties, my shit's fucking up. At least I can still be entertaining you guys. So looking like a goddamn goof. Paul Brooks, even folks can't wait to see y'all next month. Hell yeah, man. We're it's on countdown. We're on the road. It's coming up. It's close. I can taste it. Jeff says I got a number of photo ops. I haven't seen if they're going to do a total group photo. I hope they do something like that. I think they usually do with the main four. I don't know if like an actual full everybody that's going to be there. They may do something like that. I don't know if it'll be a photo op or not, but they may get everybody there in the Romero court for and give everybody a chance to get a photo. That's kind of what they did last time they had a Dawn reunion there. So yeah, I would guess maybe that's that's going to be the case. But yeah, there's the man to ask. So tune in on the 7th next month, man. We'll find out. People saying I'm still freezing up. Yeah, this shit's for the birds. I'm looking over and I can see I'm fucking freezing up here. I'm trying to think if there's anything I can do without just cutting off the stream. I'm gonna try to stick with it here as long as I can. Hopefully I don't get booted. Like I said last time, the internet completely fucking died. So yeah, people saying it's me. All right, we'll keep rolling here. Steven Romero had some great music in his films, despite never working with a lot of the biggest bands of the era. If you had to pick a band for Romero's soundtrack, who would it be? For that era. Interesting. It's an interesting call. Well, he did work with the Misfits, so I thought that was kind of an interesting collaboration there. I'm trying to think what would be a good combination for like what movie band wise. God, that's an interesting question too. I've never really thought about that. Because George always liked working with library tracks, like working with library music. I mean, that's just, I mean, it was, you know, available and affordable, free at times. Um, what band? Typo Negative. I don't know. Put Typo Negative in one of Romero's earlier films. I don't know. I think of that because I think of Nosferatu. I loved when they took the original Nosferatu and Typo Negative soundtrack to it and released that on DVD years ago. It just worked so perfectly. Maybe put Typo Negative to Night of the Living Dead or something like that. See what happens. I don't know, man. That's an interesting question. That's a tough one. Interesting, Paul. Randomly, I'm in Kitty's music video for Brackish. Are you really? Interesting. That's pretty cool. I love that video. I used to watch a video all the time on MTVX. That's interesting. That's pretty fucking cool. Yeah, no, no one, no, I've never been a big Menudo fan. Never been a big Menudo fan. I was always more of a solo Ricky Martin guy myself, but you know, we do. 76, your favorite is probably Kiss. Who, me? I'm actually not a big Kiss fan at all. I know Jeff is a huge Kiss fan. But I've just never like I like a lot of Kiss's songs, but I've never just really been into Kiss. Like actually probably my favorite Kiss song is probably the disco song that they did. I was made for loving you, baby. I still think that song's fucking awesome. But yeah, I just never you know, never knocked my socks off, as they say. Jeff said, "Yep, it's not only my favorite band; it's the band I've worked for the past 25 years." Really interesting. That makes a lot of sense now that I'm kind of putting that all together. Very cool, actually. That's pretty fucking awesome. Well, don't tell him what I said, but you know, just never been a big Kiss guy. But Adrian, what's going on, man? Adrian Mendoza says, "Have you ever been on the homepage of the Dead site or ever been a member?" Yes. Very much so. Yeah, I used to spend most of my time on the homepage of the Dead site back in the day, and the forums. As I've mentioned, I used to spend a lot of my time at school on the school computers, on the homepage of the Dead site. As a matter of fact, that was one of the sites that I got banned from the Christian County public school system. That one, Norman's site, the Zombie Farm, Matt Blasie's site, the WGON Zombie Watch site, all banned. Maybe still to this day. I don't know. You know. At the Christian County public school system, and I got suspended for a couple of days because I, you know, kept going there when they told me not to. But yes, I was big on those forums and shit back in the day. Like that was my go. I think at one point it was my homepage. Like when you would open up Internet Explorer or whatever on my computer back in the day, it would go directly to homepage of the Dead. So yeah, you could say I was a big fan. MJW 6070. Fuck it. MJW, what's going on, man? 60777. Dawn to Me is, like George said, it's a live action comic book. Yeah. I think that's an interesting way to put it. And he would go on to do like Creepshow after that, and Creepshow literally is a live action comic book. But you could definitely see like George had that in him with Dawn of the Dead. And it's interesting because I don't really think George really intended for Dawn to be so bright and over the top and comic book like when he went into it, because if you read like some of the original screenplay and you listen to like David Emge and the Document of the Dead documentary, he says, you know, the difference between like his impression of the film, reading the screenplay, and then where they're at now, or you know where they were when they shot that interview at the end of the shoot, is that he felt like it was lightening up. It was a little more lighthearted than he thought. Like, because you read the screenplay, you don't really get a whole lot of that. I don't know, comedic, but you know, lightheartedness that kind of comes with. I think it just kind of comes with the chemistry of the main four characters that kind of adds a lot to that. I think if those main four characters don't work well together, you know, you don't get that chemistry between Scott and Ken, or the chemistry between Flyboy and Ken, like the way that those characters intermingled and kind of grew and they kind of became a family. Like I don't know, I think there a lot of that just kind of happened, by happenstance as they were shooting the film. And George, kind of, he changed the dark ending, the sad ending at the end, where everybody dies at the end. He ended up changing that before the end of the shoot, added certain things like the pie fight, which was, I don't think was originally in the script. It was just kind of improv in the last minute. So, and I think just the look of the zombies, the blue look and the super red blood. Yeah, I think it just kind of lended itself to having that kind of vibe. So, anyway, there's a no, not Year Zero by Ghost, but that is a great song though. Not a huge Year Zero fan. Love the marketing, but not the music so much. Yeah, it was very different, but I really dug it when I first heard it. Tangerine Dream, Kraftwerk's another one that I was really into for a little bit there, but yeah, interesting band. Early pioneers, that's for sure. Deftones' best new metal band. Again, I don't know if I'd call it new metal. They're kind of their own thing. But again, like what is new metal? I think there are certain bands that literally fall into that category because that's what they were going for. But a lot of those bands around that time they get categorized as that. Really, that's not really what they were going for. They were just kind of, it was what it was. But I guess they do kind of get categorized in that that genre with bands like Korn and stuff like that now. So, yeah, right. Satan's got to be a Kiss fan. He has to be. Oh, that's interesting. Jeff Simmons is a big fan of the original Night of the Living Dead. That's cool. That's cool. It says, Paul, I have behind the scenes footage of that video from the new music on much. Oh, that's cool. Interesting. Yeah, I want to see that. I'm gonna have to spot you now, Paul. I mean, this was what 20 some years ago now, so I don't know how different you looked at the time, but you have to, I don't know, send me a screenshot or something of that. That's pretty fucking cool. I can't tell you how many times I've watched that video. MJW says, is this TROTLD remake actually coming out? I fear it will be the Return of the Living Dead remake. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently it is. But again, like with that, the new Night of the Living Dead remake, who the hell knows? Like nobody saw that shit coming either, but they just kind of surprised us with it. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't really heard a whole lot about that. Larry says, I've asked for Zilla. There's a story. I'll tell it on the show live. I can't wait. Because Zilla's one of those like that I would just love to meet. I think she played such an important role, not only in the making of Dawn of the Dead, but George's career throughout the 80s. We told the story like when we were at the Romero archive and found, this documentation where it had George and it listed like his next of kin, like if anything were to happen to George for like insurance purposes or something like that, who to contact. And of course, the first person would be Christine Romero, his wife, obviously. But then the second person listed there that you would think like, oh, maybe Richard Rubenstein, his business partner, or maybe, somebody else. He had Zilla Clinton listed, which I thought was super interesting. Of course, she was married to Pat Buba. I mean, I'm sure there's so many interesting stories and stuff that she would have. I'd just love to hear her side of things. And I always loved her in the Dead Walk documentary from the Anchor Bay box set as well. Loved her parts in that. I still quote some of that though. We gonna make a movie. Like I would love hearing from her as well. So yeah, I can't wait to hear that story. MJW, David Early's in Innocent Blood. Also pretty nice to see him and George in Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, Innocent Blood is one. John Landis that Michelle messaged. I can't believe you've never seen Innocent Blood. I'm like, yeah, I just I don't have. It's just off my radar. There's so many of these like movies that just pop out, and I'm just like, oh fuck, how did I miss that? Like another one was like the Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, which is available on YouTube as we speak. It's got like cameos from all kinds of Pittsburgh actors, Romero people in it. And another one that Matt mentioned the other day, I'd never seen it, has that was shot in Pittsburgh and has like a cameo. It's not really a cameo appearance, but it's a small appearance from Tony Buba in it. I can't think what the name of that damn movie is. I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head here. It's got a long weird name, but it's in our group chat, so I can always go back to it if I want to. But Matt's in the chat if you want to highlight that. Yeah, just don't propose marriage. Yeah. All right, let me scroll through. I'm trying to hit the questions here since we got to ask me anything. I'm really fucking behind here because we're still talking about. I'm up to Detroit Rock City. But I can't. I gotta throw some love at Detroit Rock City. Detroit Rock City is one of my all-time favorite comedies ever. It's such a good fucking movie. It's so good it makes me wish I was a huge Kiss fan. And I think that was the point of the whole movie to begin with. So, and yes, I agree with that too, Jeff. Detroit Rock City is much better than Kiss Meets the Phantom. I fully agree with that. Yeah, I love Grande's question. He threw a curveball and asked me different questions when I came on. I was prepared to talk about food. Yeah, wouldn't expect to talk about food, but hey, it's called Ask Me Anything, so I gotta be prepared for this. Just accept. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's cleared up at all. It looks fine on my end. I'm not getting any, any signal issues up here on my end. I don't know what the hell the issue is, but we're hanging in there. Yeah, do that. I'd like to check that out. All right, let me see here. Keep rolling. Okay, Bonnie explained to me what a shawarma or whatever the hell it was. It's like a Middle Eastern burrito, seasoned meat, veggies, tahini, etc. So delicious. Interesting. Is that must be like a new thing that I've just never been on my radar. That's interesting. Bill Maher actually on his show, I think it was last night, had a whole thing where it's just like, where did these words come from? Like all of a sudden you just start people start using a phrase or a term or a word that you've never heard before, but now all of a sudden it's everywhere. I feel like that's going to be one of those words for some reason. I don't know. Oliver, what's going on, brother? Oliver 656X. What's going on, man? All right, Michelle's saying my stream is better now, so knock on wood. We'll knock on that wood there. All right, here's a question. Stedgos' question: have dinner and hang out with 3 celebrities. Me, Harrison Ford, Bill Murray, Kurt Russell. You enters. See, I don't really give a fuck about celebrity. But if I had to hang out, like, I would be so much more interested in hanging out with like Charles Bukowski or something like that, just for one night. Just to fucking experience his life, or somebody like a musician or something like that. And for me, like, my celebrities are like, it's the same. It would be my same answer that I would give to Grande. Like, what Romero related people would you have dinner with? Like, for me, like, my dinner and hang out with 3 celebrities would probably be George, Richard Rubenstein, and Dwayne Jones or something. Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, like I say it all the time. Like, those guys are my celebrities. Like, John Rice is a perfect example. Is like a guy that got announced for Living Good Weekend a couple of years ago, and to me that was like, they said, "Oh, Brad Pitt's going to be there," and I'm just like, "Oh, fucking John Rice is going to be there." Well, I got to be there now. Fuck it. So I don't know. I'm just weird like that. But yeah, celebrity wise, like, I don't know. There would have to be more about them than their work. There would have to be something more there for me than just an admiration for their work. It would have to be. I would want to have some type of, because, like, Harrison Ford, Bill Murray, Kurt Russell, all cool guys. Fan of all 3 of those guys, but like, I wouldn't know what to fucking talk about with those guys. I'd just be sitting there just staring, and it's like, oh my god, it's Kurt Russell, it's fucking Bill Murray. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's my weird, convoluted answer. I don't think it's worth it, Michelle. I think I can't do it. It's just not going to happen. Although I will say, watching it again the other night on the watch along, I enjoyed it more than the first time I watched it. Tried to watch it by myself and actually like tried to fucking watch it. It's easier to get through that movie when you can actually just hang out with your friends and talk shit about it the whole time, or just talk about smoking in general, or whatever else we ended up talking about. So, um, interesting question, Oliver. Favorite Resident Evil game? Um, See, I'm an old school Resident Evil guy. I haven't really. I think the last Resident Evil game I played was 5. Um, but my favorite all time probably changed. I mean, literally the game that changed my life when that game came out. Which is a great topic, and I saw they released the new trailer for the Resident Evil remake earlier this week. I have thoughts about that, but it's probably what you would expect. And of course, next weekend I'm going to have Brandon Salisbury and Tom Robinault. Robinault. I have trouble with that fucking last word. Robinault. I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna ask him how to fucking pronounce his last name. But I'm gonna have those guys on next week, and they are currently working on a Resident Evil fan film called Original Sin. So I'm kind of more excited for theirs because I know those guys are like the old school Resident Evil fans too. So for me, like my favorite Resident Evil game like I said, changed my life was Resident Evil 2. When I first saw Resident Evil 2, when my uncle over at my uncle's house, he was the first guy that I knew that had a PlayStation, and just seeing those graphics, seeing the way that game was laid out, completely fucking changed my life. I'd never seen anything like it. It introduced me to the modern zombie. It made me seek out, oh, geez, what are these things? Like, oh, zombies. Oh, and then I found out about Romero and Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, and it all fucking snowballed from there. Am I still freezing? All right, just bear with me, guys. Just bear with me. But yeah, Resident Evil 2 for me is like the ultimate. It will always be my favorite. I love Nemesis too. That was a fun game at the time. And the original, of course, was scarier. But for me, Resident Evil 2 was my shit. Yeah, me too, John. Me too. I think okay. I thought that was a hot take, but I guess that's everybody's favorite fucking Kiss song. So, yeah. I love Typo Negative as well. Yeah, I saw that, Jeff. I thought I was blown away by that, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the bass line's great. Yeah, Bloody Kisses. That's one of my all-time favorite albums. Period. Not just Typo Negative albums, but that's one I can go through from start to finish. That's for sure. Yeah, R.I.P. Peter Steele. Let's see. I'm gonna keep rolling here. Alf, if you get a chance, listen to Kiss Unholy. Awesome song. I don't know that one. Another Kiss song I like is War Machine. That's just a badass song. War Machine's probably right up there for me too in terms of like my favorite Kiss stuff. Here's a question. How old are you, Alpha? I used to go to Homepage of the Dead when I was a teenager. I am 37. It's funny. I always got to think of that because I always forget. But yeah, 37. I'll be 38 this year. So yeah, I remember going back to Homepage. I mean, this was 20 years ago. Easy. Yeah, over 20 years ago. Which the Homepage of the Dead is no longer up. So, unfortunately. But yeah, back in the day, again, it was literally my homepage at one point. So I'm trying to remember what my screen name was in the forum, but I can't fucking remember. It may have been because it was my AOL too. It was just Peter DOTD, all lowercase. Peter DOTD. Creative, I know, but at the time it was early internet for me, and I was just like, that's my favorite character in my favorite movie, so that's just going to be my name. Fuck it. So that may be what it was, if I remember correctly. God, if you go back and it's probably embarrassing. Some of the old like theories and thoughts, and God knows what the hell else I was talking about on there as a teenager. Let's see. the Paul Lynde Christmas special. Watch Kiss on the Paul Lynde, their first TV appearance. Shows weird, eclectic mush. That's interesting. I've never seen that, but I have watched the Paul Lynde Halloween special before. Now that's interesting. Now that's an interesting fucking special. But the Christmas one, I'll have to check. If that was Kiss's first TV appearance. Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. Since then, perhaps the downer ending of Martin made George want to end Dawn on a high note, give the survivors a chance, sort of. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was always George always had like a sad ending to his films leading up to Dawn, and then it was like Dawn. It was like through as they were shooting Dawn of the Dead, he was just like, "Yeah, we like these characters too much. We got to let them live." But Gornick's always talked about like he remembers sitting there 247 while George is like writing. What was he writing? I guess he was probably writing Dawn of the Dead at one point. And at one point, he was just, working on it, and he was just like, just fucking end it. Like, just kill him. Fucking end it. Like, George just didn't know quite how to end a movie without killing all of his characters off or having it end on such a sour note. But I'm really glad that they didn't end up killing everybody in Dawn of the Dead and letting the two, Peter and Fran survive at the end. Because I think if they... I don't know, man. I don't know if that would have worked quite as well if they would have both just off themselves at the end, but very cool, man. Very cool. I look forward to that. I enjoyed your take on the Phantasm series. That was I enjoyed that. Again, I'm one of those weird ones. I dug Ravager, man. Like I guess it maybe it's because I'm not in the moment of when it came out. I didn't have that because for years I just avoided that one and Oblivion. Because to me, that was just like to me, like I'm a huge fan of the first film. Like for me, the first film it just stands alone. It's just a fucking masterpiece. And then the sequels are different levels of good, bad, and different whatnot. But yeah, so finally getting around and finally sitting down and watching Ravager. I didn't hate it. I actually ended up kind of digging it. I think maybe it's just watching it now, knowing what's going on with Reggie and everything. It really kind of hit home for me a little bit, and it kind of was just like yeah. So yeah, I didn't hate it, didn't love it. It was what I actually watched it with my daughter. She watched it. She hated the scene with the fucking horse. She was so upset when that horse got the fucking sphere, and she was like, "Why did they kill the horse?" And I'm like, "I don't know, honey. I'm sorry." But she kind of dug it. She kind of gets with the Phantasm a little bit. Yeah, there you go. The Halloween special. Yeah, the Paul Lynde Halloween special is on YouTube. That's for sure. All right, hold on. Let me just spit out my fucking Zen. Hate the Zen, not the Zenner, as they say. All right, Grande says, question, Hollywood hands you a big budget to make a film. You can pick one of these three actresses in their prime to star. Soledad Miranda, Angela Bettis, Pamela Springsteen. Who's going to be your star? Ugh, I got to pick one of those? I guess Angela Bettis out of those three. Because I don't... Who the fuck is Soledad Miranda? I don't even know who the hell that is. That just doesn't ring a bell for me. Angela Bettis, I know the Lucky McKee stuff, and Pamela Springsteen, from the Sleepaway Camp stuff. But yeah, Angela Bettis was the one that kind of has the talent there, I guess. But I don't know. So maybe I do know Miranda, and I'm not. It's just not clicking for me. But that is a weird collection of names there. How did you come up with those three? It's an interesting question. Innocent Blood sucks. No pun intended. Yeah, that's what I told Michelle. I was like, I just don't have all the time in the world to be watching every shitty movie ever made, Michelle. Come on. Like, it's Pittsburgh or not. I don't care who's in it. Like, at some point, you got to be in the mood for that shit. That's what it is. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl is another one that Matt highly recommends. Has the appearance of badass Tony Booba and some sweet shades. So yeah, I'll definitely want to check that out now. Okay, stream's better. Baba Ganoush says, "Oh, dude, shawarmas are dope as fuck. Pickles, seasoned chicken. Yeah, I don't know. You may have lost me with the pickles thing. I fucking hate pickles. Pickled turnip, garlic paste. Yeah, I don't know, man. You may turn me off. You said pickles. I'm not a pickle guy. I do not like pickles. Maybe I can get it without pickles. This is the big topic lately. What are yours and everyone's thoughts on a band with no original members, Skinner being a big one of note? Um, Not a fan of it, to be honest. To me, it's like it's just a they're using the name as a way to market the concert or the album or whatever they need to do. The band itself is no longer there. I'm trying to think of what to equate that with, but yeah, it's just, I'm not a big fan of that. That's for sure. I'm trying to think of like a good example of a band like that. I mean, there's a bunch. Like Deep Purple was one. Like one of my first concerts I went to was Deep Purple. I think there was like one guy in that band that was there originally. Um, they were still great live, but again, it just wasn't. Don't. It's like why call yourself that when that's not who it is, you know? But yeah, you do. Black Flag's another one that they just the new Black Flag with like the tweens or whatnot. I was just like, what is this? It's just it's just a property that they can use now to market a tour or a new album. It's like, oh, the new Black Flag album. It's like, oh fuck yeah, and then you listen to it and it's I don't know who these people are, but all right. Um, yeah, that's what I want. A one night stand with Charles Bukowski. That's what I want. Um, um, Jeff saying, love the video clip that Larry has on his page of Lowry going crazy swinging the sledgehammer. I don't know if I've seen that actually. What the hell was that from, Larry? I'll have to find that. Yeah, Bukowski is a trip. Yeah, some of his stuff, some of his books, not my thing. But then there are the few like Post Office to me is like was just a fucking one of my favorite reads ever. It just went by fucking fast because I used to work at the post office as a mail carrier, so like I identified with that book like wholeheartedly. I was like, oh my god, like this dude knows. He knows what it's like. Um, but yeah, Bukowski was a fucking character, man, and his interviews and stuff are just as good, if not better, than his writing. Like I could just sit and listen to that dude just fucking talk, chain smoking cigarettes, constantly drinking. Maybe not the way to live your life per se, but interesting guy nonetheless. Hey, if Satan's telling you need to give it up, it may be time. It may be time. Yeah, Resident Evil 4, man. Resident Evil 4 was a great one too. That really changed things when that came out as well. I remember getting that for Christmas one year and just being obsessed with fucking Resident Evil 4. Yeah, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, PlayStation, yeah. And speak of the devil. Speak of the fucking devil. Look at that. You speak its name and he will appear. Brandon Salisbury, what's going on, man? I came right in right at the time. Must have been the words Resident Evil. Yeah, man. Your ears started tingling. You got your senses rolling. And you're like, oh, what is that? Somebody's talking about Resident Evil. Yeah, looking forward to having you on next week, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. I definitely want to get your take on the new Resident Evil remake or whatever that's coming out, the trailer that they just dropped. I can't wait to get you guys' thoughts on that. Find out about the project that you guys are working on, which I think is more interesting because, like I said, I'm an old school Resident Evil guy. The trailer, the teaser trailer, whatever that just dropped, nothing about that said Resident Evil to me whatsoever. But I mean, I think that's kind of what the whole point of it was. But we'll see. We'll see what the hell that's about. But yeah, next week will be a good time, man. I look forward to it. I just wonder, is Clayton McKinnon still with us? He'd be cool to get Living Dead Weekend. He's the Shoot It Man, SWAT officer. Yeah, Clayton McKinnon is still with us. Last I heard, from my understanding, he lives out in California. He lives out on the West Coast. And yeah, that'll be a good question for Larry, actually, when he's on. But yeah, I know that his name's been bounced around, been requested. But I think it's just a matter of, it's a long trip. to get somebody to fly over from the West Coast that isn't like your typical, convention name that's used to doing a lot of conventions and stuff. But Clayton is a perfect example of a guy that I would love to meet, because I mean he was in Martin as well, so I mean, and he's been he's worked with Tony Buba. He's kind of been all over the place in terms of the Pittsburgh films from back in the day. So yeah, Clayton would be a big name that I would love to meet and love to get a signature from. But yeah, like I said, that's a great question for Larry. So tune in. Brandon saying, I am always torn between Resident Evil 1 and 2 for the original PlayStation. Yeah, 1 to me is the scariest. Like, I have such fond memories of playing Resident Evil, both of the Resident Evil games, but 1 in particular, because that one was truly fucking scary when we were kids playing Resident. Like, I remember late at night, turn the lights off, we're sitting there playing Resident Evil for the first time. Me and my cousin TJ, and I think my cousin Justin was there. Maybe my sister was there. We were stayed up late after the parents started going, after the parents went to bed. Hold on 1 second. The light's coming unplugged. I was like, I feel like I'm starting to fall into the shadows here, but get that squared away here. Yeah, it's looking a little darker, but what the hell. But yeah, I remember playing the first Resident Evil and late at night, all the lights off, and you're walking through that hallway for the first time, and those fucking dogs jump through the window. Literally scared the shit out of I don't want to speak out of turn here, but scared the shit out of one of us. Dropped the remote, ran to the fucking bathroom, holding your ass cheeks, just like, oh my god, like, I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget that. Jeff said, I know a lot of you don't like AI, but they did an AI of the beginning of Dawn before Steven entered the studio, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those popping up here lately. Yeah, there's quite a few. The Lego ones you sent me were pretty cool, actually. I thought those were actually kind of fun. The Lego version of Dawn of the Dead, I kind of dug that. I thought that was kind of cool. Since in Resident Evil 1 game is still my favorite. Great music, funny acting. Yeah, that's the thing about all those original like 3 Resident Evil games is the music is just amazing. Love the fucking music in those games. Fat Pig the Conqueror says my friend rented the first one and kept it for a week and a half. Charged his parents' phone like $100, calling the stupid tip line because nobody had the internet. Yeah, dude. I remember you'd get stuck on one of those fucking puzzles or something like that, and you'd be stuck on it for like a week. You would just get fucking frustrated, and you'd be like, "This makes no sense. How are we supposed to figure this shit out?" Then eventually, when you did figure it out, it felt like you conquered the world. And that was always an aspect of the games that I wish they would have incorporated more into the movies. Is the whole the puzzle solving aspect of it, and that's an aspect of it that I think George incorporated into his script. There was some puzzle solving and stuff that they had to do to maneuver their way through the mansion and stuff like that. But yeah, they honestly didn't keep too damn much from the games and in the movie adaptations, really. Yeah, black number 1. There you go, you got it. Oh really? Peter still passed a few blocks from me here in Scranton. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah, in a row, 37 in a row. I'm 37. Wow, I didn't know that. War Machine was co-written by Bryan Adams. Well, it was also the theme music for Bryan Adams in Smoky Mountain Wrestling as well. So there's a fun little trivia bit for you. When he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling as the Night Stalker, and of course he would go on to be Adam Bomb in the WWF, Wrath in WCW. So yeah, what a weird coincidence. There's a bit of trivia for you, Jeff. John also 37. There you go, man. Look, we're right there together. So we may have been on the board at the same time. The old forum at Homepage of the Dead back in the day. We probably cussed each other out a couple of times. Because those forums back in the day, man, like people forget, like shit is so much, like, we think about like Twitter and stuff now, and yeah, it's just mean spirited and hateful now a lot of the times. But it's just an excuse for people to act like assholes a lot of the time, or troll, as they say. But back in the day, man, you'd get into some heated discussions on those forums and some real back and forth. Because it was the first time you could really communicate with somebody like that incognito, and you could really just. And I don't know if that was good or bad for society, but yeah, I remember back in the day on those forums, you could really go to fucking really go to battle. Um, yeah, Grande is a youngster, but man, Grande knows his shit, man. He's an old soul. He's an old soul, that's for sure. Halloween special. That makes more sense actually. The Kiss was on the Paul Lynde Halloween special. Um, because it makes more sense that Kiss would be there as opposed to the Christmas special. I couldn't have picture Kiss popping up to do you know, the fucking, I don't know, Christmas song or something like that. Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus. Yeah, it seems that way. Everyone's 37 here. Yeah, hang on as long as you can. Hold it as long as you can. For the love of God, cherish it. Another great 90s comedy, Billy Madison. Yeah, Michelle is a very, very young 46. So 46 years young, as they say. Brandon's 42 this year. Yeah, we're all about in the same age range. Bonnie said she's old enough to be all of ours mother. But see, like, that makes you cooler because you're not, you know, it doesn't fucking matter the age. Like, you're still cool enough to be on here every week talking fucking horror and Romero and music and yeah. Age don't mean shit, man. You got a young soul. You're still young at heart. So there you go. There you go, Michelle. Michelle's got it. You're not fully Clint Eastwood on the porch. Get the hell off my lawn yet. Or maybe you are, and I wouldn't blame you to be honest with you, but hey. Need a beer? Yeah, I do too. I need a refill. I'm sitting here just fucking tweaking out about my internet connection. Hopefully everything's still we're hanging in there. I don't know what it is, but yeah, last night it's never happened before. But last night on the Revival House show, the internet just fucking shit the bed and just died. I had to reset the router and everything. Luckily, you know, it came back on and didn't have any issues the rest of the night. And I was hoping that wouldn't happen again tonight because I would have no backup plan. If my internet goes out, it's the end of the stream. I'll see you guys next week, I guess. But so hopefully it we're hanging in there. Yeah, and I don't think you can, you know, I mean, shit, you know, the older, I mean, it just seems like I know so many, or maybe it's just because I'm getting older too. You know, when I remember being in my 20s thinking like, fuck, man, when I turn 40, I'll be an old man. And now I'm like almost 40 and I still feel like a kid. I still feel like I'm in my 20s. I still feel young. I guess it's just because I surround myself with fucking toys and shit. Still the same. I'm still into the same shit that I was back then, you know? But I meet people all the time that, you know, I'm like, wow, you know, that I would never get like, because when I was younger, I would think like, oh, if you're 50, that means you're wearing like slacks and a polo and you're into golf, and that, you know, that's how you know. Like, but then I still meet people that I'm just like, oh fuck, like, you know, you're younger at heart than I am, and you're, you know, it's I don't know. I said like I said, maybe it's because I'm getting older too, and I don't see it, but you know, there are definitely times where I'm like, yeah, I'm the old man here. I'm the old man. Especially when I go to like a show or a concert or something like that, and I'm surrounded by younger people. I'm just like, yeah. I have that moment where I'm like, back in my day, like we would have put our phones. We didn't have phones. We would have been fucking moshing and throwing shit at each other. Now you guys just stand there and do fucking this number the whole time. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get kids these days. Yeah, I don't know. Fucking, was she in a Romero film? If not, you know, the name sounds familiar, but I couldn't pick her out of a fucking lineup, and I couldn't do that about most actors, modern actors especially. Like people say these names all the time, and you put them in a lineup, I couldn't pick them out. I think that's the first place I read the Romero's Resident Evil script was on Homepage of the Dead as well, because they used to have that up. I think they also had the original Day script on there as well. Yeah, great pick. I love Angela Bettis. Those three are my favorite actresses ever. Oh, really? Okay. To be honest, I'm shocked you don't know who Soledad. She's that kind of. All right. Let me look her up real quick, because you are making me feel like I'm losing my mind. Soledad Miranda. Oh, okay. Oh, fuck. She died in 1970. Well, what the hell was she in that I would have seen? Vampiros Lesbos. Count Dracula. Hold on, let me go to her IMDb page. Soledad Miranda. Let me pull it up here if my internet will allow. Computer's working fine, so I don't know. All right. I can see why you'd be a fan. So was she in anything of note? Juliet? No, I don't know. Yeah, nothing ringing a bell. I've never seen any of these, so I don't feel as dumb now. What would be like a go-to? What would be her best role? What would be the best film that I should check out? Sex Charade? Maybe? What was she, a porno actress or something? She died young in a car accident. Yeah, I was going to say that's pretty young, 1970. So she was what, how old? 43 to 70, so what, 27, 26 years old? Yeah, I've never been on my radar. Again, proving the point that Grande is an old soul, older than a lot of us. Interesting. What's a good one? What's a good one to check out though? If you had to give one. God, everything's gone to shit. Everything's going to shit. My light is just not cranking out what I want it to. It's not cranking it out. I have to go to the different light here. Is Boston a band? I'm not sure. I'm not a big Boston guy. I don't know much about them, honestly. Shawarmas are the closest thing to Nova Scotia's original official regional food. Donairs. I've never heard that either. Pickles are important? No. Pickles are fucking gross. Nasty shit. Did Fran have a boy or a girl? We don't know. It's a 50-50 shot either way. That's an interesting question. I've always tossed those ideas around of like what would be a sequel or a prequel or a continuation of the Dawn of the Dead lore. Would it be a boy or a girl? Maybe a girl. I think I would go with girl. I think if George wrote it, it would be a girl. Just a guess. Paul, what's going on, man? Ask me anything. Okay, who's ready for Drunk Paul? We're always ready for Drunk Paul, man. We're always ready for Drunk Paul. What's going on, man? Are y'all ready for Drunk fucking Michael? That'd be the word. Because, man, I'm telling you, man, you never know, man. It could be the last time we're at the mall all together, honestly. So there'll be some moments. That's for sure. Steven says, obviously, we'd all love it if Dawn of the Dead video game was finally made. If you had to if you had a hand in its creation, how far would you deviate from the movie? I think missions would be cool. I don't think you would have to deviate too far from the movie, honestly, because the movie itself kind of plays out kind of like a video game because there are different missions. Like every scene is a different mission. It's like, okay, we got to go get the trucks. We got to block the entrances. Okay, that's one mission. Mission 2 is okay, we got to, clear the mall, lock the doors, hunt the zombies. Mission 3, clean up the zombies. Like that movie plays out in such steps that it lends itself perfectly to a video game. Navigate through the apartment complex and try to, stop Wooly. Wooly's going ape shit. You got to bring down Wooly. He's like the boss of that level or something. I've always thought Dawn of the Dead would played out like a video game. It lends itself perfectly to a video game. The airport, you got to gas up the helicopter, find the supplies, and not get shot by Steven or eaten by the airport zombie. You could do so much with that. So yeah, I wouldn't deviate very much at all from the movie. Hell, give me a level where I just go through the mall and do whatever I want, have the mall to myself. Let me go to the Brown Derby. Ooh, creamy mustache. Watch out now. The foam. It gets worse and worse with that foam. Yeah, exactly. Getting the pots and pans for Fran, target practice, etc. Exactly. You got it. Yeah. It seems like something Rubenstein would have been interested in at some point, but just to license it out and let somebody do it. But they've done, of course, Dead Rising was kind of pretty much like a DV, like a version of Dawn of the Dead. I mean, it's zombies in a mall, but it's not, it's not Dawn of the Dead. You can't play as one of the 4 characters and, do things that they do in the movie. How fun would that be though? And then you're at the end, the final boss is the fucking biker gang, the final boss is Blades and Sledge, and I don't know. That would just be perfect. Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Hopefully I can get fucking internet and everything squared away before then, because I don't know what the hell what the hell the internet's doing, but all right, let's see here. Resident Evil on VR, it's actually scary. I could see that. I even like the first person Resident Evil game. I remember I played it, I rented it and played it and beat it in one night when it first came out, that Resident Evil Survivor back in the day. I even enjoyed that. I was like, this is still cool. Like, people shit on that all the time. And I get it. It's not the greatest Resident Evil game at all by any stretch, but I remember having fun with it. Oh yeah. So I still have Resident Evil 1 music for a few years in my brother's Halloween trick or treat display. Kids freak out, adding the crows too. Yeah, I've used so much of the music from Resident Evil back in the day when I would make my own movies. It just works perfectly. It works so well. Pretty much anything from the first 3 films, and it's like that iconic music. Like when you get that feeling of safety when you walk into one of the rooms and you hear the dun, 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 and it's like, okay, there's no zombies in here, there's nothing in here, there's just a typewriter. I can save my progress. I can just take a minute. It gives you a minute to just kind of relax, because every door you open, every corner you turn in those games was just like you never knew what the hell was around the corner. You never knew what was coming. But when you heard that music, when you open that door and you're in that room and that music starts playing, you're like, okay, there was that bit of relief that you had nothing to worry about. Justin, what's going on, man? Resident Evil 2 is my favorite of the series, the OG. Yeah, that's mine too. That's the one, like I said, that's the game that changed my life. That revolutionized. I'd never seen anything like that before. And just opened the door to Romero and the zombie genre, and yeah, it was amazing. Brandon says, I really enjoy Resident Evil 2 for its environmental storytelling, the little scenes in the background that tell micro stories. Yeah, the monsters, the characters, but Resident Evil 1 has a creepy location atmosphere. Yeah, I agree. Resident Evil 1 is the creepier, scarier game, but Resident Evil 2, like I said, it took like, to me, Resident Evil 2 was like Terminator 2 or Aliens, or it took that next step and just made it more of an epic. It was more of an epic game than the original, for me. But yeah, that original game, just as in like Alien or the original Terminator, it has more of a dark. It's a darker, more like a scarier vibe to it, which I think is why it was awesome. And then part 3, like Nemesis, to me was always fun because that was the one we would always play as kids. One of us had to be, it was usually me because I was always the bigger kid. One of us had to be the nemesis, and you never knew when they would pop up. You never knew where I was going to be. You stars, and then the kid, all your cousins and shit would run off and start hiding, start shooting at you and shit. And you'd have to play it like the nemesis. Like after a while, you'd have to like kind of take a knee or something and let them run away and get away. Then eventually you'd get back up and you'd have your rocket launcher or whatever. Those are the good old days. The good old days. Yeah. War Machine was Taz and ECW as well. Yeah, that's true. But Night Stalker, Brian Adams had it first, by God. So there's your bit of trivia. What's your favorite Giallo film, Justin Moreno? To me, it's Tenebrae. Argento. It's one of the later Giallo films. It's not like the 60s or 70s era Giallo when it was really huge. It was kind of like, to me, Tenebrae is like that Argento's bridge between what he did in the 70s with his Giallo films and what he would go on to do in the 80s with stuff like Phenomena and Opera. It was more, there was more gore. It was more violence to the killings. But to me, Tenebrae is just like a perfect film. Like story, especially like in terms of Argento's, storytelling, plot wise, like there were no holes in the story. Like it was one of those, and it's one of the only times that I've seen a Giallo where I didn't quite figure out who the hell was, the killer was at the end. I couldn't quite figure out what was going on in that film until the very end. So yeah, for me, Tenebrae is my all-time favorite Giallo. If you call that a Giallo, I mean it's black glove killer. Yeah, I guess that constitutes a Giallo. If not that, then Profondo Rosso. I'm just a huge Argento guy, and Profondo Rosso is just like a damn near masterpiece as well. Another one though, Fulci's Don't Torture a Duckling is another one. Blood and Black Lace, Mario Bava, another one of my favorites. Yeah, those are obvious answers. Those are obvious ones that everybody always brings up, but I think for a reason, those are like the best out there. But those are also just personal favorites as well. Brandon says, a question: if you could choose any unproduced Romero project to be made, which one would you choose and why? That's an interesting question because I just finished reading the that Adam Hart book, the work of George A. Romero, and it's all about the unmade stuff that George never got made, and learning a lot more about a lot of those projects. My answer was always, Resident Evil was definitely one that was always the one that I always wanted to see and was always regretted never having the opportunity to see. The original Day script, of course, would have been interesting. But after reading that book, like I found myself way more interested in the Copperhead, the movie that he was working on with Marvel, which would have been like kind of a comic book movie in the mid 80s. That one would have been interesting because I think there were some good ideas to that, that I think George really kind of had his finger on the pulse of, that he really could have done something interesting with. So Copperhead is kind of one is kind of climbed the ladder of those projects that, like, oh man, that would have been kind of cool to see. his Pet Cemetery, we talked about that a few weeks ago. I went into deep detail about that. I think his version of Pet Cemetery, I don't know if it'd have been better or better, worse, but I think it would have done more for his career if he would have done that Pet Cemetery. If he'd have got the opportunity to do that as he was originally supposed to. And I've always had a weird curiosity about Shooby Dooby Moon. The I don't know, science fiction comedy, whatever he was originally supposed to do in the early 80s, the Rudy Ritchie story. I've always had a weird fascination. I've always wondered, like, what the hell would that have been? Like, how would that have played? Because it was originally going to be, with that 3-picture deal with UFD, it was originally going to be Knight Riders, Shooby Dooby Moon, and then Day of the Dead. But Shooby Dooby Moon didn't happen. Instead, we got Creepshow, which I love Creepshow. But I've always been, I think the fact that Knight Riders wasn't as successful as, the distributors and George himself was hoping for it to be. He kind of had to go back to the well a little bit and go back to horror. I mean, he had that relationship with Stephen King. So Creepshow made the most sense. That was the direction he had to go. But I think if Knight Riders had been more successful for George and he did get a chance to do something like Shooby Dooby Moon, I think that would have been, I don't know, I've always had a weird curiosity about that one as well. So there's so many. That dude was so prolific and had so many unproduced projects, scripts, treatments, stories out there that just never happened. Even some of his later stuff, like The Ill, like I've always just heard stories about that. I'm like, that's an interesting concept. It had, from like the little bit I know about it, it feels like another version of Martin that he would have done in the late 90s. Yeah, I mean, some of the Stephen King stuff from a Buick 8. There's a ton. There's a ton. I would have loved to have seen it all, but I think at the top of that list, I mean, Resident Evil for me, I think that would have been interesting. But yeah, the Copperhead, it would be one that I would have been curious to see what he would have done with something like that, working with Marvel and because I'm not a big comic book guy, but something in the mid 80s, and it was an original story that was kind of cultivated by George with the people at Marvel. It was a George story, 100%. Like, it had a very nihilistic vibe to it. I don't know. That one kind of piqued my interest more after reading that the Adam Charles Hart book. That's for sure. Brian Clark. That's what I'm thinking of. Brian Clark. Brian Adams was, Crush. You're right. Brian Clark, Brian Adams. I forget. They became a tag team. Yeah, the Chronic, which they were really over in WCW there for a quick minute. Like right at the end of WCW, Chronic was huge. I think it was just the name. It was the right time. They were, but yeah, you're right. Brian Clark and Brian Adams, I get them mixed up. There you go. Best giallo to me is Deep Red. Can't argue with that. Brandon says giallo is a subgenre I've not watched much of, but need to watch more of. It's definitely it's an acquired taste, that's for sure. A lot of Italian horror from that time period is, but there are good ones, there are bad ones, and then there are great ones, as with any other subgenre. So, yeah, I think to get started, Brandon, Deep Red is definitely one to start off with. I would say the go-to ones are the ones that I mentioned: Deep Red, Dario Argento, Blood and Black Lace, Mario Bava. Don't Torture a Duckling from Lucio Fulci was one that I was late to the party on, and when I finally watched it, I was like, holy shit, like it kind of blew me away, because I've always kind of had this notion of who Fulci was when I was younger, and really just knew Fulci from stuff like Zombie and City of the Living Dead and stuff like that. But seeing like something like Don't Torture a Duckling, I was like, wow, this dude could really make good fucking movies. Like, this is really, really well done. So yeah, I would start with those three. Tenebrae, like I said, it's kind of like that middle ground there between 80s and 70s and what Argento had done and what he would go on to do. And I just think it's fucking perfect. Jeff said, did George have a finished script for Twilight of the Dead or just the title? He had a short treatment that I actually read at the archive. And it's like a page long. There's not a lot to it. And it's basically about a guy who is living in a boat offshore from an island, and the island is inhabited by Big Daddy and his army of smart zombies, and the smart zombies go to war with a different faction of zombies. So now the zombies are warring against each other. It was very vague, not a lot to it, not a lot to the treatment. I know that they've been talking about doing the film Twilight of the Dead for a while now with Brad Anderson and Mila Jovovich. I don't know where that stands. I haven't heard anything about it, so I don't know if that's happening or not. But yeah, George did the short little treatment, like a 1 or 2 page little treatment, just kind of laying out the basic idea of what the movie would be about. And I think they've just kind of taken it and ran from there. So, but there was never an actual finished script or anything for it. No. Top 3 favorite beers. Ooh, that's a good one. Well, Iron City just for the Pittsburgh connection, of course. Guinness, I love just a good old fashioned, just a Guinness drought. And then I would probably go for an exotic beer. Although there is a local brewery here, Damsel Brew Club. They have a lot of good shows, a lot of just smaller local bands and stuff play. A lot of touring bands stop by there, and they brew up. I forget what the name of it is, but they have a beer there that I can't think what the name of it is off the top of my head. But I mean, it's delicious. One of the best beers I've ever had. But if I were to go with something else more heavily circulated, I would say Left Hand Blackjack's Milk Stout. Left Hand Blackjack Milk Stout would probably be. I like dark beer. I like, Iron City beer notwithstanding. I like dark beer. I like a thick, dark, heavy beer that I have to chew when I drink. That's just what I was weaned on, because like I said, throughout high school I was straight edge. I didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't do nothing, didn't party. My party was on the weekends. We're going to film. We're going to make a movie. Get friends come over, cousins come over. We're going to make a movie. We didn't have time to party. We didn't have time to do all that. But by the time I got out of high school, we started a band with this dude who was 8 years older than us. One of the best musicians in our town. Just blown away that he'd want to play with us. But one of his decrees was, if I'm going to be in a band with you guys got to drink with me. And me and my buddy Eric at the time, we were both straight edge and didn't do anything like that. We were both just like, all right, what the hell? It's about time. I think we were like 19, 20 at the time. We were like, all right, we'll give it a shot. Just out of curiosity at this point. And so, but Dan, the guy was just like, but we're not drinking Bud Light and all that pussy shit. I'm going to teach you guys how to drink. We're going to drink the good shit. Because to us, like, we just knew, okay, get us some Bud Light, I guess. Like, that's a beer to drink, I guess. He's like, no, fuck that. We're not drinking Bud Light. Here, try this. And here's a left-handed blackjack stout. Or here's, just these fucking hardcore fucking strong beers. Like, the type of beers that you would have 2 of and be like, wow, okay, I'm good. Like, so yeah, the Russian Imperial stouts and stuff like that. Like, so that's what I like was forced to, build my palate on, I guess. But, so yeah, I've always just been partial to a good dark stout beer. So, good question though. I like these random questions. Food, music, beers. I dig it. I like it. Satan, I must have missed that. Satan calling Bonnie a Karen. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that at all. Brandon saying Twilight that had a treatment that was somewhere between 6 and 12 pages. Okay, a little longer than I was thinking. I've heard different page counts, lots of notes on what he wanted to do with it. Yeah, I remember reading it, and it was very, very short. But yeah, there was not a lot to it. Not a lot of detail. It didn't really get into much character or anything, and it kind of just ended. I don't even think it really had like a finish to it. It's like he started it and it just never really went too far. Todd, what's going on, man? Riverman Revival from the Revival House Podcast. What's going on, brother? Good you stop coming in from date night. All right, man. Well, I don't know what you're doing on here, man. You know how you got to end fucking date night. What are you doing on here, man? Go seal the deal. Drive it home, man. End the date night on a good note. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Look young but feel old. That's a bad combination. But hey, there's nothing wrong with looking young. Nothing wrong with looking young at all. Hold on to that as long as possible. I find I get I see that, especially in this fucking mustache, man. I see grays more and more every day. It seems like I look. I'm just like, God Almighty. I'm just gonna be gray as hell before I know it. I'm gonna be looking like fucking Colonel Sanders or something on here. Yeah, we were talking all about all kinds of fucking new metal earlier, man. You missed it. Eugene Desade. I see Sade. I think Sade, like the artist, is my favorite from her. She Killed in Ecstasy is a close second. Okay, I'll check it out because I've never seen any of those films, so that doesn't surprise me. I'm not super aware of that. The name sounded familiar, and I think I remember you talking about her on a stream. It's probably been quite a few months ago now, but I remember that name, but I couldn't place a face to it. And I think it was just because I've never seen any of her work. Punky Brewster, Solo Moonfry, Punky Brewster. I do know Punky Brewster, by God. I grew up watching Punky Brewster. Pyro is another banger. Okay. Remember that. That makes sense. Pyro is a banger. Literally. Sex Charade sadly never got completed. I bet that would have been a classic. She worked with Franco, a lot of some soft scenes, but never full on porn. Okay. Love a dog. Damn. John says, I also read the original Day script. I'm actually glad he scaled back. Day of the Dead is one of my favorites. I've come to that point too, actually. Now there were multiple versions of that original Day script because he had to continuously scale it back more and more. The original script that he had would have been just a fucking epic, and there were some really interesting, really cool ideas in it. And as it got scaled back more and more and more, we got what we got. And I like the finished product of what we got, but I've always wondered like what would have happened to George's career if he would have gotten to do that original version of Day of the Dead that he wanted. Would it have been more successful? Would it have been more of what people wanted? I don't know. Just because it's bigger and there's more action set pieces and more effects and stuff, I don't know if it would have been because a lot of what he was doing in the version of Day of the Dead that we got, it was just like magnified times 10. A lot of the stuff that people were just like, at the time, a lot of the, the infighting between the human survivors, the training of the zombies, the smart zombies and stuff. Like there was a lot more of that in the early Day of the Dead scripts, that's for sure. So you never know. Yes, I remember you pointing that out, Synth. Synth knows his porn stars. By God, that's the say what you want about Synth. He knows his porn stars. Eugenie Deschade, for sure. That's Masterpiece. Okay, I will keep that in mind. Are they available to? I'd say stream, but I don't really have many streaming services anymore. You don't really come across those very often here locally at the local shops either. Yeah, I've never been a big Jess Franco guy. Like, it's just never been my scene, so that's probably why I'm never really stumbled upon a lot of her stuff. Yeah, Grande is a fucking encyclopedia of movie knowledge. Doesn't matter what era, what genre. Dude's on lock with that. It's pretty amazing, like you said, especially for a youngster. He's a fucking prodigy. Pickles are your comfort food? By God. As Norm Macdonald would say, the great Norm Macdonald. By God. No thanks. Are you? No, come on. I drink pickle juice every morning. Helps with the hangover. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'd just rather be hungover. Why are we talking about fucking pickles? Come on now. Yeah, More Than a Feeling. I know some Boston stuff. I've just never been huge on Boston. More Than a Feeling. I mean, that's the song that Nirvana pretty much ripped off. Kurt Cobain said it himself. It's like, yeah, it's a little more than a feeling, you know. God, you people and your pickles. I'm skipping right over that shit. I'm not talking about pickles anymore tonight. Can't do it. Why are you? We're still talking about pickles here. I keep going. I'm trying to find a comment here. I'm just like, pickle juice helps. Pickle juice helps with the drug test. Thank you for that bit of knowledge there, Satan. Have you ever tried picklebacks, whiskey and pickled turnip garlic juice? Oh, Jesus Christ. No thanks. Picklebacks. Picklebacks. God almighty, we've gone off the beaten path here. We're talking about pickles, and here we go. They had the Land of the Dead video game. I always wanted an OG Dawn. Yeah, and they had that at like I don't know, extension or whatever that you could download of the Monroeville Mall for Land of the Dead. I never got that, but I've seen videos of it on YouTube. It looked pretty cool. But yeah, I used to play a Land of the Dead game all the time. It wasn't a great game or anything, but I mean it was a Romero video game of some sort. Didn't really have anything to do with the movie itself, other than the Fiddler's Green and all that. But that's all we had back then, man. Yeah, once you hit your 50s, you can start dressing like Fisherman George Romero with a ponytail. That's the plan. That's the plan. When I hit 50, it's fucking, fisherman's vest. Fucking, I can't do the ponytail though, man. I've tried growing my hair out on multiple occasions, and it just gets to a point where I'm just like, I can't. I got to get it cut. Never been. I couldn't do it. Never works out for me. Bonnie, you have fun with that. There you go, John. See, John, thank you, sir. Thank you for speaking some sanity in this chat tonight, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah, Dead Rising was a game that I wanted to enjoy. I wanted to like more than I did. It got kind of boring after pretty quickly, actually. It was like exciting at first because it's like, oh, zombies in a mall. This is everything I've ever wanted. And then after a week or so, you're just kind of like, all right, I'm kind of over it. Talking about, I'm guessing because I mentioned Resident Evil Survivor. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest game, but it was still first person shooter zombie game, in Raccoon City. So I was happy about that. Ark Thompson, yeah. Yeah, the save room music, yeah. Best sound you could hear playing that game. Okay, Jeff, question for everyone. If you could have just one piece of memorabilia from the original Dawn of the Dead, what would you choose? From the actual movie itself, not like a prop-alike or anything, as they call it. One piece of memorabilia from the original Dawn of the Dead we choose. That's now you got me thinking. One of the original TVs. If I could find if you had the original solid state back there, that would have been pretty cool. God, there's so much. I would take anything original from Dawn of the Dead. Like I see some of that stuff pop up sometimes on eBay. It's crazy priced, way out of my range. But yeah, I would just anything connected to Dawn of the Dead, like even just the bit of the elevator that Blasey sent me. Like just having that is just like it's like I have a piece that was on screen in the movie. Yeah, I'll fucking take anything. Honestly, one of my no thing. It's not really a piece. Well, I guess it is a piece from memorabilia from the movie, but I would love like Blasey has Gornick's original crew shirt from Dawn of the Dead. I would love an original crew shirt from Dawn of the Dead. That would be one of my White Whale collectibles. That's for sure. Steven, which Romero Dead movie has the best sequel potential, Dawn or Day? I think Dawn. I think Day does have kind of a happy, uplifting ending. But once they're on the island, I'm kind of okay with it. I'm kind of cool with it. I'm like, okay, so they're gonna do what John said. They're gonna live out the rest of their days, getting juiced up, soaking up some sunshine, and then that's acceptable to me. But Dawn, you always wonder, like, how much gas do they have? How far can they make it? What happens? Where do they land? What happens next? Is the baby a boy or a girl? Like we talked about earlier. There's so many questions still left at the end of Dawn that even after a movie that's over 2 hours long, you still want to stay with those characters. You don't want. And that's the beauty about the ending, is that they fly away. They leave the mall. The last shot that we're with is we're still there on the roof with the zombies. We're still there at the mall. And the final credit sequence, it's going all through the mall. Like we're still at the mall. But as an audience, we want to go with them. We want to see what happens next. Where do they go next? And even more so, like what is the world like now out there? Like how bad has it gotten, over the months or however long that they've been at the mall? That's always more interesting. There's more meat on the bone there, as opposed to Day of the Dead, which is just like, okay, yeah, the world's over, and they've learned to let go of the past, and they're moving on. So, and I think that's an acceptable ending to the trilogy. Actually, I remember originally seeing Day of the Dead and was always kind of like, that sucks. I don't like that ending. It's too happy. But it makes sense for what George was going for there. Justin, what's going on, man? Speak of the man himself. The liquor on the ceiling. Yeah, when you first see the liquor in Resident Evil 2 going down the hall, that was, or even before you get to that cutscene with the liquor, where you're walking past that window and the fucking thing crawls by. And, no music, no jump scare, no nothing. It's just like you start to wonder if you're seeing shit. You're like, did I just see that? Was that supposed to happen? Like, oh my God, do I want to go in this door now? Do I want to continue? Those little moments like that were just groundbreaking back in the day. Yeah, good. Yeah, I forgot, but yeah, I remember that fucking moment, seeing that little fucking liquor crawl across the window just real quickly. Yeah, the Land of the Dead video game. Yeah, we just talked about that. Not a great game. Again, it's one of those games kind of like Resident Evil Survivor that you can kind of get through and finish in one sitting. It had online play as well, but that was kind of glitchy and not the best either. But again, it was just one of those things where it's like, I'm playing a George Romero video game, So I was happy about it. Blade's machete. Well, I know the guy who actually has that. Dave Burian actually has Savini's machete from Dawn of the Dead. I've actually held it, seen it. It's fucking amazing. Dave Burian's a guy. If you're going to be at Living Dead weekend, you'll see a guy walking around with a bag on wheels, and you'll see him. He's just kind of walking around with this. He looks like he's got luggage with him. Follow that guy around and just kind of stay in his vicinity, because eventually at some point he's going to open up that bag and start pulling out some of the coolest shit you've ever seen in your life. Blade's machete, the original one from the film, he has it and he brings it with him. Moose Clit, the brain from Day of the Dead, that's got all the wires and stuff with the guy with the arms, Moose Clit. He has the brain from Day of the Dead. He has the original comic book that is used in the movie Creepshow. He has that. He has the machete that Savini used in Friday the 13th Part 4, the machete that goes into Jason's head that, he kind of goes down. He has that machete. The coolest, like I said, just if you see that guy, you'll see him. He's got the bag and he's going through, you'll see him sitting around different tables and stuff, and just kind of hanging out, just kind of, just hang out, see what happens, Resident Evil 2 much more well-rounded in my opinion. Yeah, like I said, it was just more epic. But yeah, I love all three of those games. Even Code Veronica I thought was a really good addition to the Resident Evil games. Resident Evil will always be my favorite game. The environment, bioweapons, music, story. You started out in a destroyed city. Yeah. Resident Evil 2. Yeah, you're talking about. Yeah. I mean, at the time, you got to think 1998 when that game came out. I just never seen anything like it. The graphics, the cutscenes, the action, the suspense of it. And I had seen, I was exposed to Resident Evil 2 before I was exposed to the original Resident Evil. So going back to the original Resident Evil, it was just like a whole other level. It was just like, oh fuck, this is even scary. Even with the odd voice acting and stuff, you know, like you almost became a Jill sandwich. Or like my favorite thing in the original Resident Evil. It was fucking hilarious, and I remember me and my cousins used to laugh about this shit all the time. Where Barry runs into Jill in the hallway of the mansion, and he's like, "Oh, Jill, take this. You may need it. You'll get better use out of it than I will." And you just see him like hand her something, and then you look in your bag, and it's like fucking like grenade rounds or something like that, just like this big ass thing, and you're just like, okay, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. You know, graphics weren't quite there, but it's funny. You just think he's handing you like a key or something like that, but it's like, no, here's a fucking grenade launcher. Okay, thanks. Or the hands. All the hands used to be like this, so they would talk and they would, Jill, you don't want to go in there. What happened? Take me back. Take me back. I would play that. I'd play those games so fast your head would spin before I would play any of the newer games. New games, man, I guess I aged out because they just got too much going on in a lot of those games now for me. But God, fucking more pickle talk. I'm gonna call you all just a bunch of pickle fuckers. That's what from Clerks 2. Hey, pickle fucker. That's a good one, Ed. The airport vending machines, yeah. The coffee machine, and as a guy who makes his living working on vending machines, that would be interesting to have. Actually, that would actually be a perfect fit for me, I guess. Yeah, the fucking dogs going through the windows. Yeah, scared the absolute shit out of us. Quite literally. Justin says, love Tenebrae, my second favorite Argento film. Yeah, to me, it always goes back and forth between Tenebrae and Suspiria for me. Just depending on my mood, what I've watched most recently. Like Suspiria to me is just untouchable in so many ways. Atmospherically, musically, the look of it. I mean, there's nothing else like Suspiria. Nothing else has ever been made that's been quite like Suspiria. But Tenebrae to me is like Argento's like perfect film. Like performance, script. Like I love the guy that plays Peter Neal in it. Like I think he's great in that role, especially with the twist ending at the end. You never see it coming because you like that character so much. The kills in that movie are amazing. The soundtrack, forget about it. Just great stuff. Yeah, Tenebrae, Michelle's favorite. Grande Tenebrae is fantastic. I don't know anybody that's just like, I don't like Tenebrae. I've actually heard people say that, like, Suspiria is not my thing. I don't really like Suspiria, but I've never heard anybody say, Tenebrae is not very good. I don't like Tenebrae. So take that for what it's worth, I guess. Yeah, definitely check it out if you can get your hands on it. It's I don't even know how to explain it. It is like I said, it is a giallo, but it takes twists and turns that I hope I don't spoil it for you, but it takes twists and turns that most people don't see coming. That's for sure. Yeah, cinematography, music, weird characters. John Saxon, absolutely. John Saxon's in it as well. Doing the John Saxon thing. So it says Day. I'm just fascinated what Bub did after the movie. And yeah, that is an aspect of like where does Bub go? What happens next? Does Logan come back? There are some unanswered questions in Day, that's for sure. But Todd, you don't like Blood Black Lace? I see. I'm not the biggest Bava fan. I mentioned it. Like I've run hot and cold on Bava. I talked to Grande about this because I picked this Blu-ray up, and I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. I think. Yeah, making a big mess here. but I'd never seen this one before. But it's Bava's Lisa and the Devil from '73, I believe. Yep, '73. It was also released in the U.S. as The House of Exorcism, which I hear is a much worse version. But yeah, I've always been kind of hot and cold on Bava, but there was one always constant for me. It was just like Blood and Black Lace is just, I've always loved the look of that movie, the feel of that movie. I don't know what it is about it, but yeah, to me, it works so well. But yeah, I've always been kind of hot and cold on Bava, so I could kind of get that. Yeah, the Romero apartment movie you wanted to do, yeah, Apartment Living. Yeah, I was actually I think it was Eric Walter was mentioning that to me. I don't know, about a month or so ago. We were talking about that, and some of the people that were involved in the making of that, and some of the co-writers and stuff. Interesting story behind that. It'd definitely be interesting to find out more about it. That's for sure. John Saxon gets murked like a chump. He does, and the hat goes flying. He doesn't fall off. Well, we'll see about that. Justin saying Deep Red Tenebrae Opera, top 3 Gialli from Argento. I think that's fair. Top 3 Argento Gialli for me. Deep Red Tenebrae would be up there. Opera's okay, but man, I really like Four Flies on Grey Velvet. There's something about that movie. There's just something about it just works really, really well for me. I love the characters in it. You got what's your name? God. They got the character named God. He's kind of the homeless guy that kind of knows all. The gay detective, the gay private detective, and it has colorful characters, and the mailman is awkward, is weird, but yeah, I don't know. There's something about Four Flies on Grey Velvet that I've always kind of been attracted to. Grant, what's going on, man? Stukas Dive is in the house. Do you have any funny moments from the '90s era Simpsons that you can't forget? Yes, great question. '90s era Simpsons that I will never forget, and I still think about all the time, and it makes me fucking laugh. I'm trying to think what the context of it was, but it was Bart Simpson. I think it's when like Homer goes on like disability or something like that, and he's just sitting at home getting fat. And Bart is so like enamored with this idea of just getting to sit at home all day and collect money and watch TV. And there's like this flash forward sequence of like what Bart is imagining in the future, and it's just Bart sitting at home collecting fucking disability, and he's like just a big mass of Bart Simpson, and he pulls out a fucking, he's like, I wash myself with a rag on a stick. And he just pulls out a stick with a rag on it. And he just flashes back to Bart. And Bart's just like, oh, that's the life. Oh, that's the life. I use that fucking line all the time. I wash myself with a rag on a stick. Or I don't know. I guess it's just anything fat. Anything has to do with fucking the Simpsons getting fat. Because the other scene, too, is when Lisa imagines what her life would be like if she married what's his name? The fucking bully. I can't think. It was not Millhouse, but God, I haven't watched The Simpsons in forever. But she's imagining this, and she has this flash forward again where she's a big fat woman laying in this bed with like a bunch of kids running around, and she says, "Kids, get mama's paddle. We're going to the library to rent some movies." It's just, I don't know why that's funny, but those like 2 scenes in The Simpsons will forever fucking stick with me, and I think about them all the time, and they always fucking crack me up when I think about them. Very similar. I just realized that, but yeah, 2 very similar scenes. Nelson, yeah, that's right, Nathan. Nelson. I was thinking, I knew it was something with that fucking an '80s hair metal band for some reason, but yeah, Nelson. I wash myself with a rag on a stick. Great question. I haven't even thought about that. The Simpsons in forever. I haven't watched The Simpsons in so long, but we used to watch Simpsons constantly, like nightly. It'd be like back to back The Simpsons and King of the Hill. Like our local Fox affiliate here. Since says even if the studio interfered, George's Resident Evil had to be much better than Paul W.S. Anderson's version. Such a hack. I agree. Yeah, wasn't a fan of the Paul W.S. Anderson. I'm not really a big fan of the Paul W.S. Anderson's version of anything, really. But, yeah. But again, George, I think wanted to do something more horror based, more gore, more more true to the film or to the games. And the studio's just looking for something as marketable to as many people as possible, as inoffensive. And so instead of getting anything that remotely resembled the game, we got Mila Jovovich running up walls and drop kicking the dogs and whatever. And I remember at the time I was so into both, into Romero and into Resident Evil, like as a teenager, thinking like, oh my god, like when Resident Evil was coming out, I was like, it's going to be one of the biggest box office smashes of all time. I don't know. I was just like, to me, like those were so big in my world that like they just had to be big in everybody's world. But I quickly realized that that wasn't the case. For like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, Gialli and Filizio Tesi. Baba Ganoush says, George would have stayed true to the Resident Evil universe, unlike Paul Anderson, who put umbrella symbols everywhere and had no characters from the game. Exactly, pretty much. Big Daddy's Love Flame Island. Yeah, who knows what that would have been? Although I don't know if I would have been interested in seeing a sequel with Big Daddy as one of the lead main characters. So, Guinness during the wintertime. I love Guinness any time of the year, but yeah, specifically during the winter, that's for sure. Oklahoma Heat. I've never had that. Light beer. I like a decent light beer every now and then, but yeah, Bonnie's with me. Love a good stout. Love a good dark stout beer. That's just I like to taste it. Straight edge became a cult. Well, hey, if Satan is saying that it became a cult, and he's probably right. All right, Justin, my top 3 favorite beers: Ballast Point Sculpin, never had it. Stone Delicious, never happened, and Elysian Space Dust, never had it. I will say I'm not an IPA guy at all. I fucking hate IPAs. It tastes like fucking sink water to me. So any IPA I've ever had, I'm just like, it ain't for me. But yeah, I've never had any of those, right? Any of those IPA. Stone Delicious sounds like a stout, darker beer, so I'm just assuming. But yeah, there's so many smaller breweries and stuff out there that are make like recently. What was the one I had? I think it was a Left Hand, but it was like a peanut butter stout. Literally tasted just like you're drinking fucking peanut butter and chocolate. It was delicious. Yeah, you never heard of those. Look them up. Fucking beer snob. People always call me, but my cousin, my favorite thing he would always call me when I would drink Guinness. My cousin was like, "Oh, you got to drink the fucking gentleman's beer." Okay, I'm like, yeah, I got to have my gentleman's beer. Can't just have a bud. You can't just have a bud with the rest of it. You got to have your gentleman's beer. I'm like, well, Mexican beer with lime and salt. You can take it or leave it. A lot of Mexican beers, a lot of beers that come in clear bottles or the green bottles end up because of the way that the light sources hit them. I think they ended up just kind of tasting a little skunky for me, for my taste. But I do like Shiner Bock. Shiner Bock's pretty good. In terms of just like a regular lager beer, yeah, I like Shiner. Old English, yeah. Old English, I've had some of that. King Cobra, Colt 45. Yeah, we used to play Edward 40 Hands back in the day. That was a fun time. If you ever wanted to get shit faced for $5, that's what you did. Heineken, fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Yeah, that scene always made me curious about Pabst Blue Ribbon, and that was kind of my beer of choice in my 20s because it was cheap. It was very available. Go to a bar, you get a bucket of it for like $5 or whatever. And of course, I used to hang out in Nashville, East Nashville all the time with all the hipsters. And of course, was Pabst Blue Ribbon or nothing at a lot of those bars. So yeah, I'm very, very well versed in PBR, man. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Not the best beer, but not the worst either. Yeah, Shiner Box good. PBR is a classic. Show, how many flannel shirts do you own? Well, I own quite a few, but I only wear like 2 or 3. I'm very specific about my clothing. Um, I I literally have like maybe 2 or 3 pairs of pants that I wear on a regular basis, and about 2 or 3 shirts, maybe 4 or 5 t-shirts, and that's about it. But I have a closet full of shit. I have a drawers full of shit. But there are just I just get into a comfort zone with certain clothing that I just stick with it, and I wear it until I wear it out, and then I just move on to something else. So, um, yeah, I own probably 10 different flannel shirts in total, but there are only like 2 or 3 that I like to wear regularly because I like the way they fit on me and they're comfortable, and I kind of know what pants they'll go with, and I stay basic. I stay pretty basic. I'm like that guy that owns like 10 of the same pants, 10 of the same shirts, and nothing ever changes. um, Dixon flannels? No, I don't know. I don't even know what fucking brand this is. I order them off of fucking Amazon. I go on Amazon Prime and I just order them because they're like $20 a piece, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll take them. I just like the way they fit, like the way they feel. Yeah. Eat my ass. I'll wear what I want, Michelle. God damn it. Always giving me shit about my flannel shirts. As a Canadian, you of all people should appreciate my love for flannel shirts, ma'am. What kind of creepy white van do you drive for work? It's a Ram ProMaster. I can't think of the exact model, but it's not as creepy as it could be. I'll say that. For my job, yeah, there's usually a lot of candy in my van at any point in time. So I do drive. It is funny. I do drive a white van around filled with candy. So yeah, you're right. Question: what made you an atheist? All right, let's get into it. Nothing really. I don't even know if that's like the right word anymore for my feel. Like when I was younger, I was pretty militantly atheist, I think. But I was always in search of what I believed. I was always in search of like, how do I feel about this religion, that religion? I was always just very turned off by the way religion was used against various groups of people, various ways of thinking. And I never liked the idea of conforming to an idea um, or just following suit, being part of the pack. Always been kind of an outcast by my own volition. I mean, we talked about last night, talking about Magic the Gathering. When I was a kid and everybody was all about Pokemon cards, I went the other way. I was like, fuck it, like Magic the Gathering. I never knew how to play the game or knew anything about the cards, but I just thought they looked cooler. So I was the kid that had the Magic the Gathering cards. I was just like, fuck your Pokemon cards. I got Magic the Gathering cards. So like religion for me, I've always just been a skeptic. And yeah, I don't really know. I guess because I'm not a religious person. I don't really have a particular religion, but I've also, the older I've gotten, the more I understand and appreciate organized religion, because I think it is necessary for most people. I think, not saying that I'm like above it or like, oh, I don't need it to fucking. I mean, there's definitely principles and ways of thinking and traditions and stuff like that. I think are important and necessary, and I think society would probably crumble if we didn't have them. That are steeped in various religions. Now, some religions I have more issues with than others, but for the most part, like the older I've gotten, the more I've learned to appreciate and respect other people's religions. Because when I was younger and like rebellious, and I was just like, how can you believe? And I would always go with the the magic man in the sky thing. Like, oh, how could you believe that? And of course, I would read stuff like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and stuff like that when I was younger. And so I guess that's what like made me come to terms with the fact that that's what my belief system would be called, atheism. But but like I said, the older I've gotten, I've softened a little bit on that, and the more I'm not judgmental. I've actually opened up more to listening to different types of religions, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's something I don't really think about too often. Like, to be honest with you, I don't really struggle with. Like some people like struggle with that. Like I have friends that have spent their entire lives struggling with it. That grew up in a Pentecostal household or Catholic households. I think there's definitely been a lot of bad that has happened in the world in the name of organized religion, but there's also been a ton of really good that has happened in the world in the name of organized religion. And I've the older like I said, the older I get, the more that I see some of those, um, some of those traditions and whatnot, the more that they fall apart, the more that they get dispatched by certain people, the more that I can kind of see like, oh, that probably wasn't the best idea. We probably shouldn't get away from that. Like maybe that was there for, for a reason. Um so yeah, interesting question. I said ask me anything and then that's it. So I don't know if that's exactly what I would categorize myself as these days. I know some people say like agnostic or something, but again, I don't really know if I really believe in a higher power per se, but I do appreciate the teachings of various organized religions and the societal effects that they've had more so than I used to, if that makes any sense. So there we go. Justin said you should do a trivia game of movie knowledge. Well, I do every Christmas. We do Romero trivia night. But just general stuff, I think, yeah, that would be fun. I love putting games together like that. I would totally be down to do something like that. Because that's one of my favorite things to do, live streams and stuff on this channel are just putting together games and like last week doing the draft, like putting that together and seeing how that plays out. Like, and so maybe at some point we'll just do like a general movie knowledge trivia night or something like that. Grande would be the guy I would need to help me out with something like that, I think. God, trying to catch up on these comments. Almost over 2.5 hours in. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to hit the questions. If you guys have any more questions or any other topics you guys want to talk about, get them in there. And then I want to bring up what I plan on doing over the next month or so leading up to Living Dead weekend. And hell, we can kind of go in. We'll go and kind of look and see what different guests announcements and stuff. Shit, I think I lost my place here. Trippy McChippy. Is that what it is? McChippy? Trippy McChippy or Trippy M Chippy? Good morning, all. 5:07 in the UK. What's going on? Welcome. Good morning. Have you a nice I don't know, you guys drink tea over there, I guess more so than coffee. Have you a nice cup of tea and relax and listen to me babble on about this and that. So again, thanks for joining, man. Patience of it's right. When you want to cut your hair, right when you cut your hair is when it's going to grow. Then you have to well fuck it, man. At this point, like I don't have very much hair left to grow. Like if I take this hat off, every time I take this hat off, I see less and less. It gets grayer and thinner, and it's just like to the point where the last time I got my hair cut, the lady that was cutting my hair was like giving me tips on different shampoos that I could use to thicken my hair, and I was just like, oh god, it's come to this. It's come to this, hasn't it? So yeah, I don't think if I started growing my hair out now, it would probably by the time it would get to any length of of any note. I would have the Hulk Hogan skullet going on or something like that. The helicopter from Dawn of the Dead. I guess talking about Dawn of the Dead. Memorabilia. The helicopter was actually crashed years ago and is no longer there. The guy that owned the helicopter, flew the helicopter, Bartholomew. I think he ended up dying in that crash as well. Sadly, and this was quite a few years after Dawn of the Dead, so the helicopter was around for quite a while. But yeah, it ended up crashing. I don't remember where or when, but I do remember. I think Larry sent me a little bit of info. So yeah, unfortunately, the WGON traffic bird is no longer with us. R.I.P. Flesh Feast. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I never played it, but that was one I've always heard about. First mall zombie game. Dead Rising looked the best. The blood pressure machine. That'd be an interesting thing. I wonder. Yeah, you wonder whatever happened to a lot of this stuff. I'm sure a lot of it just ended up getting trashed over the years, but it sucks to think about, especially through all the remodels and stuff. Yeah, or a helicopter blade. That would be pretty cool. Get Jim Crut to sign it. Haul that fucking thing to Living Dead Weekend. Have Jim Crut sign it. Hell yeah. Michelle saying my choice for Dawn, a little gel bottle. The little gel bottle the zombie steps on near the end. Wow. There you go. Get real deep in there. Get real deep. Grant says, one piece of memorabilia that couch Flyboy is sitting on when he takes that photo. There you go. All right, get obscure. Like I said, give me anything. Give me the camera that he takes the photo with. Give me the typewriter, which I think Larry actually owns one of the typewriters, the actual models of the typewriter that he uses to type out. Time is now. Any of that stuff, man. Like, give me any of that stuff. That would be in a glass case somewhere with lights shining on it. Like, this is the fucking holy grail. Satan, you like Day better than Dawn? Makes sense. I feel like Satan would appreciate a darker, more gritty version of a zombie film. Makes sense. Dawn memorabilia for me. Helicopter zombies chopped off head. Yeah, that would be cool. You wonder whatever happened to stuff like that, like the top of Jim Crut's head. I wonder if he would know. I wonder if he would have. Or Savini. I'd be surprised if Savini didn't keep it. But again, it's one of those things that they probably just ended up just throwing it away or didn't think anything of it. And who knows what the hell ever happened to that. Talking about different things here. Let's see. Questions, topics. Yeah, that was cool about Resident Evil 2 as well. You could 2 different discs. You could play as either Claire or Leon. Two different stories. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you want to check out Dave Burien stuff, Synth's video of it on his channel, so go check that out. It's really cool. But seeing it in person, and if you're cool, he might let you hold it. So yeah, Dave's got the goodie bag. That's for sure. Where's Bear? Another one of my favorite Barry Burton quotes in the original Resident Evil was Wesker, because it always sounded to me like he was calling his cat, and it wasn't Wesker, it was Whiskers. So it'd be like Whiskers. And then I always wanted to hear like meow coming from a hallway somewhere. Going down fucking memory lane on these Resident Evil stories, like we used to fucking just giggle like when we were kids, just fucking crack up giggling about stupid shit like that. Whiskers, meow. Yeah, Jill, the master of unlocking. Yeah. Alex, what's going on, Alex? Justin did that damn hand thing on the couch before you did it, weirdos. What hand thing on the couch? What are you talking about? He doesn't know my secrets. Did the damn hand thing on the couch before you did it. Oh man, I'm so far behind on these fucking comments. trying to think what the hell I was talking about. What hand thing did I do? Oh, the fucking the fucking. Where are you going, Jill? What are you talking about? All PlayStation games had the cube fucking hands, and they would just wave them around. There you go. Nostalgia. Yeah. Lisa and the Devil. Telly Savalas is like the best part of that movie. He's just fucking magnetic in every scene. Kojak himself, hell yeah. No, Bava, not Baba. Bava with the B. Or with the V. Not the B. V. Oh, very cool. I was wondering about that. The outfit is coming to Blu-ray. Oh, Arrow's doing it in July. That's awesome. I didn't see that. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was wondering if anybody put that out because I can't seem to find it anywhere. But yeah, that's a really good Robert Duvall, Joe Don Baker film from back in the day. I might have to pick that one up. God, I'm so far. We're on the Simpsons again. Let me see if I can catch up here. Groundskeeper Willie, Grace Smith, woman. Yeah, Mortal Kombat isn't bad, but it was cool when we were younger. Watching it back now, it's like, it's still like 10 times better than fucking Annihilation. But so I'll give him that. Yeah, Mortal Kombat. I mean, I guess that's probably what led him to get the job to do Resident Evil. It's like, well, he did an okay job with a video game adaptation with Mortal Kombat, so I guess he could probably do Resident Evil. After the disaster that the Super Mario Brothers movie was, I guess that would make sense. Yeah, Johnny Cage is not afraid to die. That was my favorite track on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, the Johnny Cage theme, track 2. Actually, I remember it. Yeah, North Coast Old Rasputin, delicious Russian stout. I've actually drank that on the channel before. One of the big fucking tall boys of it. Boy, one of those, man. Well, I was feeling pretty fucking toasty. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I need to do that. I'm gonna get shit faced on here, and I'm gonna start talking about who the hell knows what. Your slob that drinks Miller Lite. Of the like mainstream light beers, I would say Miller Lite is probably my favorite of those. I can't stand Bud Light at all. Like it just tastes like ass to me. I've never got it. Like Miller, Coors, Michelob Ultra. I like a Michelob Ultra now, especially in the summertime. Out by the pool. Come on. But yeah, Bud Light, never quite got it. Mad Dog 2020. Yeah, you don't fuck with that shit. No, I don't fuck with that shit either. The beer with Clamato, no, don't do that. Paps tastes like earwax. It's not a bad comparison, but it ain't bad when you're in a punk rock bar and you can get it for $1 for one of the tall boys. It's like, this will do. It says, dumb question. How does anyone know if the Dawn helicopter exists anywhere, whether it still runs or not? I answered that question for you. It crashed and it's no longer with us, sadly. Now, the helicopter from Day of the Dead, I think, is still out there somewhere, but not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. Actually, Larry has a video on his channel. I don't know if I would guess. I don't think anything's happened to it. But there's actually a video on Larry's channel where Larry, I think he, I forget where it's located, but there's a video of the helicopter from Day of the Dead still intact. So hopefully it's still out there somewhere. So yeah, but the one from Dawn, yeah, crashed. It's not with us anymore, sadly. When you get older, clothes don't really matter. Yeah, I agree. Find what you like, stick with it. I've never been big into fashion or anything, anyways. But Yeah, I just want to be like Einstein. Exactly, Jeff. Aaron, what's going on, brother? Yo, listening in while editing something. Nothing better to keep me company. Well, thank you very much, man. I'm glad I can keep you company. I hope you're hoping you're having a good night and having a quiet night. Hopefully the baby's not going too fucking batshit for you. But mine's at that age now. She just turned 4 months the other day, and she's learning that she can scream. So she's at that point now where she's, she's at that pterodactyl stage where you don't know, you think something's wrong, because before, like, the only time she'd make any noise is when she was, hungry or shit her pants or something. And now she'll just sit there and just like scream constantly, but she's just cracking herself up. So you go around, you're like, oh my God, what's wrong? And she's just like happy as a clam. She's just like, I just want to make some noise because I learned how. But anyway, good to see you, man. Well, thank you. Yeah, you have to. The flannel is important, It's this is what fucking real men wear. Okay, this is manly wear, Panel van, man. I don't have a panel van, unfortunately. Bonnie says, I lean towards agnosticism. I was in a Methodist handbell choir for years. It was okay once they let up on trying to convert me. Yeah, I trust me. I used to go to church and stuff for a while there. Baptist church, Southern Baptist church. Those are fun. And I was always, I'd always have questions for, like, logical questions for preachers and youth pastors and shit like that. And they never quite gave me, it was always like, well, you just gotta, quit asking questions, kid. Shut up. And I was like, it doesn't compute with my brain. Sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And you come to find out that a lot of those people are just fucking, two-faced. Like, you're just like, oh, you're the preacher's son, huh? And you're, okay, whatever. Anyway, although Catholicism, that is a religion that interests me just because of its ties with, like, The Exorcist and shit, because of my, I don't know. I always feel like if there was a true religion, but then again, you get to, like, the little boy stuff, and you're like, I don't know, maybe not. So I don't know. Not to offend any Catholics or anything in there, but I do like I don't know, just the traditional aspects of Catholicism. I guess I kind of appreciate. Since says live and let live, religion is often a hypocritical control mechanism. Do what feels good and decent and leave others alone. To an extent, I agree with that. But then also at the same time, you also see a lot of people that just do what feels good, and and they don't really have a real barometer. Like, I've always kind of thought, like, oh, well, knowing right from wrong is fairly obvious. But then, like, the older you get and time goes on and people get crazier and crazier, it seems, and you're just like, God damn, maybe these people do need Jesus. Like, maybe they do need some shit. So yeah, I agree with that for the most part. Satan says hair is overrated. Don't be like Trump. I'm just gonna start combing the shit forward and molding it into something that that somewhat looks like a hairstyle. I don't know. Jeff, who was the first person that you ever met that was in Dawn? Tom Savini. Tom Savini was the first one that I ever met. And it wasn't the best experience, but I've come to learn that that's just how Tom is. Over the years, like when I first met him, I had this whole idea of what Tom Savini was like in person, and I was so excited, and I was like, oh my God, Tom Savini is one of the coolest people to ever walk the fucking earth. One of my heroes, like, it's the man, Tom Savini. And then I met him, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. Hey. I'm like, oh, dude, like, you're Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite movies ever. Of course, being young and meeting him for the first time, I said all the things you probably should never say to Tom Savini that I've learned. But yeah, it was kind of a rough go. So yeah, Savini was my first Dawn experience. So, but it got better from there. After that, I met Scott and I met Ken, both super cool. Everybody from Night of the Living Dead is fucking cool. I've never met anybody from Night of the Living Dead that gives off any other vibe than just like complete gratitude and just warmth. The best, George Kassan, I met him before he passed away. Bill Heinzman, met him before he passed away. Just the coolest, nicest people you'd ever want to meet. But I will say, like, Texas Frightmare Weekend, meeting George, of course, was like the ultimate highlight. But second right next to George, I mean, just in terms of like experiences that like everything you'd ever want from meeting somebody from your favorite movie, like Sharon and Clayton Hill. And Sharon will be at Living Dead Weekend. Definitely stop and talk to Sharon, meet Sharon. She's one of the just nicest people in the world. But I met her and her husband Clayton, of course, Sweater Zombie, before he passed away some years ago, unfortunately. But just the coolest, nicest, most appreciative people you'd ever want to meet at a table. Just wanted to have a conversation with you. Wanted to tell you stories about Dawn of the Dead and their time and their experiences on it and how proud they were and how lucky they were to be a part of it. And just like, I remember that and I was just like, God damn, like that was everything I was hoping Tom Savini was going to be, but like Savini's just very dismissive and meh. And Sharon and Clayton were like the complete opposite, like just the coolest people. Like you just wanted to stand there and talk to them forever. Scott was the same way. Like when I first met Scott Reiniger, super cool. Like they would answer any question with real thoughtful answers, wouldn't just kind of dismiss you with, your usual like, oh yeah, I don't know about that, And Scott was the same way when we met him, when we saw him in Atlanta, couple of years ago when me and Will went down to Atlanta, hung out with Matt and Stephanie and Emery and went to Days of the Dead, and Scott and Galen were there. And just, we ended up, after leaving the Q&A session, just walking down the hall. Scott and Will are just sitting there walking down the hall together talking, and Scott's just going on in detail about the thought that he would put into the Roger character and the backstory that he gave Roger, and would he just really get into, like, you ask him a question and Scott, we'll dig in with you, like, and that's what you want when you meet these people, and you want to talk to them about the stuff that you're passionate about and you love, and they were there, they were part of it, they were essential to it. So yeah, it's always great. Or when you meet somebody like John Rice for the first time. I always love this story of like walking up to John Rice's table, and you never know, how people are gonna take, how they're gonna interact with you. And John Rice, first thing he does, he looks at us and has this look smile on his face. I guess he could see us coming, and just like, oh, these people like are coming to ask questions. And he just looks at us, he's like, so you guys want to hear some stories about Dawn of the Dead? We're just like, yeah. It's like we didn't even have to ask. He was just like, okay, you guys want to hear some stories about Dawn of the Dead, right? All right, let's go. And then he starts telling us about, telling us all kinds of shit we didn't know, and it was awesome. Anyway, it says, any lost movies you particularly want to be found, London After Midnight or something like that. Lost movies that I particularly want to be found. It's a good question, actually. That's a really good question. I'd have to put some thought into that. I mean, there's the Romero answers to that. I mean, I guess it's not really a lost film anymore, but of course the longer Martin cut, which did end up getting found. So I guess that is kind of the answer to that question. But yeah, just in general, I'd have to think about that. That's a really good question, though. Anybody in the chat got any good suggestions about something like that? Thoughts on Silent Hill, the games? I liked. I was never as big into the Silent Hill games as I was the Resident Evil games, but I do remember playing the original Silent Hill, and again, it was just one of those experiences where it just scared the absolute shit out of me, and I was just like, this is pretty fucking intense, especially at the time, because that was what, 99 or something like that. It was right around that time where you got a bunch of those games around that time. You had Resident Evil 2, you had Dino Crisis, which was kind of like Resident Evil, but instead of zombies, it was dinosaurs. Which I love. Dino Crisis. Parasite Eve was another one that was kind of, science fiction horror, that came out around that time. So there was a lot of good horror games coming out. Like there were better horror games coming out around that time than there were movies. That's for sure. So I dug Silent Hill. I remember playing some of the sequels, but the original is the one that always kind of stuck with me. And the first time you hear that fucking siren, it's just like, oh Jesus. And that's another one. That's an underrated. The game Siren, I think, was for the PS2. I think. Another underrated game back in the day that was really fucking creepy. I think it was just a Japanese game specifically, but I was dating a girl at the time who was a really big gamer, and she had it, and she was like, "Oh, you would love this." And yeah, it was pretty intense horror game as well. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on PS2 now that I'm thinking about it. Indigo Prophecy was kind of a horror game, kind of sorta, that I really enjoyed playing. Anyway. Yeah, there you go. Larry saying, yeah, Barth died in it. Crashed in West Virginia, I believe, 1997. There you go. Yeah, and do have the same model typewriter. Just pretty fucking cool. I'd love one. Those are pretty hard to find though. Yeah, the outfit. Check it out. It's Robert Duvall, Joe Don Baker. Pretty fun movie from the early 70s. I quite enjoyed it, that's for sure. There you go. There's the link to the Dawn of the Dead helicopter crash 97. You can check that out and read it for yourself. And there you go. Larson visited the Day helicopter in 2013. It's in Jackson, Mississippi. All right, that's cool. Know that. Yeah, Larry's got some pretty cool. Trust me, Larry's got some cool memorabilia. He's got McTell's biker jacket, shades, a purple bandana. Dave Burian owns his boots. Yeah, are you going to try to make a deal with Dave to try to get this boot so you can complete the outfit? Have those conversations been had? Vice versa? It's like, hey, I'll trade you the boots for. I don't know. I feel like Dave's the kind of guy that's just, he's not going to let any of that stuff go easily. We'll just say that. Fabian, what's going on, man? Going through my DVDs and seeing I got Tales from the Dark Side. The movie has a commentary with Romero. Going to watch it with this commentary. Yeah, it's a fun commentary. It's interesting because George really didn't have a whole lot to do with that movie. I mean, he wrote the screenplay for wrote the story for Cat from Hell, but it really wasn't a Romero film. But he does I guess it's because he's just good friends with John Harrison, and it's John Harrison's film, and I'm sure it's a great commentary though. It's really fun to listen to. It's fun anytime you got a chance to hear George and Harrison banter back and forth and shoot the shit, like, because those guys were always good friends throughout the years. So yeah, I love Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, and that's a great commentary. Yeah. First person you met from Donald Savini in 1990. Yeah, I think I don't know why that's the case, but I think that's the same story that Uncle Bill had on Dead Pit. First one he met was Tom Savini, and he had a shitty experience. It was all uphill after that, but yeah, I guess Savini just knows where to place himself to be the first stop. Michelle says, okay, bedtime. I got called in for a hip x-ray at 4 a.m. Oh, geez. Barely slept after that, so I'm fading. This is fun, though, and your internet got better after you talked nice about... Did I talk nice about bloodsucking ferals in Pittsburgh? I don't remember that, and I will not own up to that accusation, Michelle, but maybe I should, because, yeah, I guess we haven't had very many issues after that, so... But good night, Michelle. Good night. Have a good night. I'll be seeing you a few weeks away. Larry says I own 2-disc DVD set of all the Q&A panels from Texas Frightmare Weekend 2008. Yeah, I was curious about that, and I actually found the Q&A that I've always talked about with Tom and Greg at the Texas Frightmare Weekend. It's actually on the Texas Frightmare Weekend YouTube channel, actually. So if you guys want to go see it, and you can hear a young, nervous Michael asking the first question and being, the way I tell the story, the way I remember it in my head, it was way more harsh than it actually was when you go back and watch it. So I gotta give Tom a little leeway on that. But in my mind, he literally told me to go fuck myself. But when you watch back and you watch the video back, it's more of just like, hey, raise your hand. But to me, it was one of my heroes in life telling me, hey, shut the fuck up. All right, nobody wants to hear your shit. So if you want to go check it out, go find the Texas Frightmare Weekend page on YouTube, and find the it's Tom Savini and Greg Nicotero Q&A or whatever it's listed as. And the first voice that comes up with a question is Mr. Savini, what was it like working with what did I ask? Or how did you meet George? I think that was the first question I asked. I asked him 2 questions. How did you meet George? Which is a weird question because I already knew the answer to that, but I thought I was, directing the Q&A. I was like, this is a good starting point for you, Tom. And that was the only thing on my mind at the time was just like, so like, how did you meet George? And I asked him about Joe Spinell as well. So there's 2 questions from me in that Q&A. Fabian says, let's get controversial. Or Carpenter, Craven, and Argento, and Cronenberg. Name off the top of your head the top 3 films of each of these directors and their worst. God damn, how much time we got left? How much time we got here? Okay. I'm gonna see how fast I can do this. Let me chug this beer real quick. Fabian. All right. Carpenter. Top 3 films for Carpenter for me. Favorite films. I'm not saying these are his best, but these are my favorites. Or do you want best? So there's a difference between best and favorite. Top 3 films of each of these directors and their worst. Objectively or subjectively? I'll give you my opinion. So for me, my 3 favorite Carpenter films: Halloween, The Thing, and see, after that, there's like 5 that I could pick. But it's tough. I'll go with They Live. I think that's the one that kind of hit the spot for me the most. So I'll go Halloween, The Thing, and They Live, and then bottom 3 for Carpenter. God, taking most anything in the 90s or his last 3 films, really. Anything else I'd really put in the bottom 3 that might surprise some people? I'm not a big Prince of Darkness fan. I think I've mentioned that before. I don't know if I would put that below Village of the Damned or The Ward or Memoirs of an Invisible Man or any of that shit. Escape from LA is the absolute worst. That is the bottom of the barrel. And I know people nowadays will say like, "Oh, it's a classic. He was just not taking it seriously." And I'm like, "Fuck that. No, it's not a good movie." Big CGI wave and fucking Snake Plissken surfing the wave through fucking LA. No, fuck that. Get out of there. So yeah, take your pick out of any of those. Craven. Top 3 Craven for me: Last House on the Left, Hills Have Eyes, and Nightmare on Elm Street. Bottom 3 Craven for me: Hills Have Eyes Part 2. I never watched the last like few films that he did, like Cursed and that shit. I never watched any of that. Never had any interest in it, honestly. I'd say Hills Have Eyes 2 is not very good. That's the thing about Craven. He had a lot of really like shitty movies in between. Never been a big Swamp Thing guy. So maybe that, but I wouldn't put that at the bottom. Fuck it, we'll just go with Hills Have Eyes 2. I just really don't like Hills Have Eyes 2. And New Nightmare might be up there. I love the concept, but I think the movie's not good at all. I'm trying to avoid some of the like obvious ones that like everybody shits on, but you can kind of take your pick with a lot of those. Argento, top 3 for me: Suspiria, Tenebrae, and what would be number 3 for me? Suspiria, Tenebrae, Deep Red. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. Bottom 3 Argento for me: Dark Glasses. I just watched that not too long ago for the first time. That's his most recent film, and it's fucking awful. So that would be in my bottom 3. of Argento stuff. Stendhal Syndrome, I've never understood why people put that movie over. And I think it's kind of one of those things where like some people like it, some people don't. But Stendhal Syndrome is not good. And then I'd have to go Two Evil Eyes because that's just in the bottom three of both Romero and Argento for me. So yeah, that would be my bottom three for Argento. And then Cronenberg, top three Cronenberg, Videodrome, Shivers, and again, this gets hard because there's a lot of good ones to pick from for Cronenberg. I like The Brood. I like Rabid, Videodrome, Shivers, and I'll tell you one that I just saw for the first time not long ago, and it absolutely blew me away. I loved it, and I did not expect Naked Lunch. Really, really loved Naked Lunch. So I might put that in just in terms of just like being a really good, surprisingly good Cronenberg film. Naked Lunch, maybe in the top three. If not Naked Lunch, then I could go with The Brood, maybe. Bottom three. Fast Company. Not a big Fast Company fan. I watched that here recently and I didn't like it. Scanners. I want to love Scanners. I want to like that movie so much, but like it's just not very good. And one that I actually just picked up on Blu-ray, and it's one that I've never liked and I've never quite got. And I rewatched it again here recently, and I liked it a lot more because I don't know. I just kind of just let it be what it is. I put the notion that it's a Cronenberg film out of my head, and I just kind of let it play for what it is. But The Dead Zone, I've never liked that movie, but then watching it again here recently, I was like, it's not as bad as I thought. Because it was one of those movies I thought about putting in my list of like movies that everybody loves, but I don't. So I gave it another rewatch and really just kind of let it play for what it is. And I ended up kind of liking it. I was like, it's not so bad. It's not nearly as bad as other. But for me, like that movie for me was always like Cronenberg. Like it's a little tame for Cronenberg for me. But I like it for what it is. So yeah, I think that pretty much answers the questions for the most part there. That's a deep question though. You came in hot and heavy. You got your money's worth on that one. Hooper, yeah, Hooper. There's a lot of underrated shit. Hooper, people always talk about Poltergeist. Who directed it? Was it Hooper? Was it Spielberg? To me, I mean, Hooper's name's on it, so Hooper's directed that movie. So, I mean, Texas Chainsaw, number one with a bullet. I mean, that's that absolutely. Texas Chainsaw, Chainsaw 2, I'd put on the list. Salem's Lot. I mean, people forget Salem's Lot. Poltergeist. Poltergeist is really good. I watched that one with Everly, my 5-year-old daughter, here recently, and she was just blown away by it. She was taken by it. The very next day, she wanted to watch it again. She was like, I want to watch the movie with that little girl. I'm like, oh, Poltergeist? She's like, yeah, that one. Yeah, she was all about it. Bottom three, there's quite a few that you can put in Hooper's bottom three. Some of his later stuff, Toolbox Murders, Mortuary. Funhouse is one that like I've never loved, but it's one I've only seen once, and it was a long time ago, and I wasn't blown away by it. And I feel like I'm due for a rewatch of the Funhouse. Eaten Alive, I think, is pretty terrible, especially coming off of Texas Chainsaw. So I think maybe that one might slip into my bottom three too. But yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's kind of a popular one. Orson Welles and Magnificent Ambersons. Yeah. Going back to that question. See, that's one I'd really have to think on, because I'm sure if I thought about it long enough, there would be something, but yeah, I'm kind of blanking. That's a good answer though, Larry. That's a good one. What was that Japanese game on PS2 you had to use a camera? I know what you're talking about, but was that Siren? See, it's been years since I've played Siren. I just remember Siren being one. It's like mostly in the dark, and you had to follow a siren or something. But I remember just being freaked the fuck out by it. Rob, what's going on, man? Here we go. Catholicism, I feel, is straight evil between the Crusades to the castrati up till 1903 and the other nasty stuff. Yeah. There's just something about being in a Catholic church and the mass and everything, and there's just, it just feels, I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up, with The Exorcist and shit like that. It just feels like that's our last stand that would be able to fight against evil. But again, you think about it, it's like, it's kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Steven says, I don't know if it's lost, but The Guardian with Martin Sheen and Louis Gossett Jr., I'm hoping shows up on Blu-ray before I die. That's an interesting choice. Oh yeah, talking about Dave's boots. It'd be an interesting negotiation. I'd like to sit at the table for that negotiation if it ever goes down. So just keep that in mind, Larry. Yeah, I was like, man, I don't know how far back I am on these comments or what, but yeah, we're going back to religion. Oh Lord. Good question, Baba Ganoush. What's everyone's favorite commentary from Dawn? If you have one, love the commentary by four main actors shooting shit. That's always a favorite. I went back and listened to, while I was at work this week, listened to the commentary from the French zombie release with Lee Carr, Mike Gornick, and Tom Dubinsky, and that's a really fun one, full of information, because I mean it's Mike Gornick and Tom Dubinsky. I mean, getting into the granular details of lighting and shooting techniques, and those guys, like Living Dead Weekend, both those guys are going to be there. Wealth of knowledge, just endless wealths of knowledge is Mike Gornick and Tom Dubinsky. So if you have questions about Dawn of the Dead, making Dawn of the Dead, what was shot when, where it was shot, like those are the guys you want to talk to. Who isn't he a pedo? Who are you talking about? You're not talking about Tom, are you? No, Tom's not a pedo. A PDF file, as I think we're supposed to say on YouTube. I don't know. Yeah, cast commentary. See, Satan, when people say this, I don't understand. I don't understand it. But hey, different strokes, different folks, as they say, Yeah, a lot of people saying The Fly. I like The Fly, but it's not one that I'm just like blown away by. I love the effects and I love the way it plays out. But it's just one that I don't know. I just never go back to often for some reason. I think I remember you saying this, Larry. You really, really, really hated Naked Lunch. Yeah. And again, it's one of those movies. It's a really weird movie, but for me, it just felt like Cronenberg doing like a. Because I think who wrote fucking Naked Lunch, the original book. Was it? I'm blanking on the author's name, but it just felt like one of those movies. It felt like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or something like that. If Cronenberg did it, because it is a movie about drug abuse. Although the drug they're using is. It's like if David Lynch, David Cronenberg, and Hunter S. Thompson all got in a room and did a bunch of drugs and wrote this movie, like this is what it would be, And I kind of, it's a real fucking mind trip. And I love fucking RoboCop. He's great in it. Come on. Yeah, that's always my kind of thing with Scanners. Like it starts out hot. Like it starts out great. You got the chase through the mall, and then, the demonstration where the fucking dude's head blows up, and then all of a sudden it just fucking slows to a fast just crawl, man. Like the middle of Scanners is just, geez, it's like after Michael Ironside escapes custody and the car crashes, then it's just like, yeah, all right, okay, well, let's keep it going here. What are we doing? Yeah, I was never as fascinated with Crash either as most people are. I've always thought, yeah, kind of the same thing. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a dumb, and I feel that way, especially about. And I guess I could have said like because I've just not been a fan of a lot of Cronenberg's most recent stuff either. Like a lot of his newer stuff, Crimes of the Future, The Shrouds, um, pretty much everything after that I've seen. There's a couple I still haven't seen yet, but pretty much everything after History of Violence or maybe Eastern Promises that he's done, I just haven't been blown away by. There's just something about Cronenberg stuff here recently that just feels disconnected from any type of reality or human experience. It just feels very dry, bland. I don't know. There's interesting ideas to it, but it's all ideas, and there's no heart or soul to to those movies, in my opinion. Like I said, his most recent 2 or 3 or 4, I guess, Maps to the Stars. I don't yeah. So yeah, I don't know. He's just a guy that's kind of gone through a lot of different phases. But Robert, what's going on, man? Robert Harper's the second. No problem. We're apparently you missed all just the technical difficulties and shit at the beginning. So you're right on time. Almost 3.5 hours in. So just nuts. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but yeah. All in total, over the past 2 days, I will have done, if we continue at this pace, I will have done about 8 hours of live streaming between tonight's show and last night's show. Putting in the work, baby. Putting in the work. Kind of my feeling too, Synth. Yeah, Prince of Darkness and everything after that, not crazy about. Although In the Mouth of Madness is one of those movies that I have fond memories of because it was one of those movies back in the day when it came out, just scared the absolute hell out of me. And I watched it again the other night, the first time in a while, and I can see. I mean, it's still very effective, very scary movie. It's one of those movies that feels like a weird mashup of Carpenter, Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know if I love the movie though. Like it's kind of a mess in places, but it's got some great effects. K&B did the effects. Has some great effects and just some really fucking dark ideas to it. But yeah, outside of that, I didn't love a lot of his stuff in the 90s. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Yeah, Funhouse. I feel like I'm due for a rewatch. Like I said, I watched it once and it was the last time I saw Funhouse was on VHS because I rented it from a video store. If that tells you how long ago it was that I fucking last saw Funhouse. So it's just one I need to go back and rewatch. And the version that I watched, the VHS tape that I rented back in the day was so dark and so shitty looking that you couldn't hardly make it. It was like when I was trying to watch Season of the Witch for the first time. It was just so dark and looked like shit, and you couldn't really follow what the hell was going on. And so it's one that I need to go back and rewatch. See, Life Force getting some love. Invaders from Mars. Yeah, not my favorites. Hey, what's up, Uncle Mark? The world famous Uncle Mark in the house tonight. Yeah, starting her. Yeah, you could say that. But she picks it, man. Like, she comes up and she says, "You want to watch a movie?" And I'm like, "Okay, what do you want to watch?" The other night she pulls out fucking Cannibal Holocaust. What's this? I'm like, no, that's for grown-ups. She's like, yeah, this looks too scary. I'm like, yeah, it's too scary. So we ended up watching The Peanut Butter Solution, and she loved that. What else we watched lately? Peanut Butter Solution, Poltergeist we watched. Like I said, we watched Phantasm, Ravager. We watched something else. I can't remember what it is now. But yeah, she'll just plus something. She'll start watching it, and I'll keep an eye, make sure it's not anything too over the top or anything. But yeah, gotta start her early on the good stuff. But good to see you. Good to hear from you. Larry says that's funny. I listened to that French Dawn commentary this week too. Interesting. Dubinsky asked me to be placed next to Gornick at the show, and I told him we can do that. Absolutely. Yeah, you gotta have those guys together for sure. Get those guys together, have them start telling stories. Um, I want to be there for that. I'll just sit there. I'll just pull up a chair. That's William S. Burroughs. That's right. That's the guy I'm trying to think of. Who wrote Naked Lunch. Yeah, Existenz, not great either. Not great Cronenberg either. I'll agree with that. Crazier than Bukowski. I don't know as much about Burroughs as I do Bukowski, but be crazier than Bukowski. That's a hell of a thing. And yeah, Justin, thank you, sir. Drop a like. Hit that thumbs up on the video, guys. Help me out with that algorithm. And if you're watching, if you're just chiming in, peeping in, seeing what the hell's going on here, who's this fucking guy? Ask me anything. Who wants to ask him anything? Sub to the channel. If you're a Romero fan, horror fan, going to Living Dead weekend, yeah, sub to the channel. I'll be doing more than now that I got a new computer. I'll be doing some more videos and stuff here, hopefully this week. But yeah, appreciate that, Justin. Yeah, everybody give me that thumbs up. Yeah, that's kind of my experience with it. And Funhouse, not a great memory, but you try it again. Yeah, same here. Kenneth, what's going on, man? Ken Costa's in house. Off topic. Where does Salem's Lot fall for you? Interesting you say that. I just read the book for the first time, read the novelization for the first time. Liked the book a lot. Kind of dragged in spots, kind of a little long-winded at times. But really enjoyed reading it. Went back and revisited the movie because it had been years and years and years since I've actually sat and watched the entire Salem's Lot. Because I mean, it's a fucking 3-hour-long movie. It's a mini series, but you know. And I like Salem's Lot a lot. Some of the casting choices are a little weird. I probably would have cast somebody else in the David Soul role. But I think for the most part, I think it works. I think it works well. I think I enjoy the book a little more, but I think Salem's Lot is. I like it. I like it. It's like on a scale of 1 to 5, I give Salem's Lot like a solid 3. So, definitely creepy shit in it. Definitely scary. Like the fucking kids at the window. Like everybody talks about that scene, and you would think like at this point it would just be like, yeah, everybody talks about that fucking scene. Like, tell me something I don't know. But like going back and rewatching it again the other night, like, yeah, it's still fucking creepy. Like, speaking of my daughter, she came up to see what I was watching when we got to that scene, and she was just like, okay. No, it was actually the scene where the fucking dude's burying the kid, and he stops and he gets in the trance and he jumps down and opens the coffin, and the kid's got the eyes and the teeth. And Everly saw that, and she was like, all right, I'm out. Like, all right, this is too scary. I ain't watching this. I'm like, yeah, you probably want to see this one. But yeah, it's still very effective. Very effective. And yes, peanut butter solution is very underrated. One of the best things ever come out of Canada. I say that. So fun. It's so wild, so weird. It's one of those kids movies that would never get made today. Yeah, just a wacky fucking movie from the 80s. But yeah, and it's got some dark shit in it too that you were just like, they put this in a kids movie. But I really had fun with it. Like, she was just like, every scene, she was just like, what's going on? What? Why? What is he doing? I'm like, just keep watching. Yeah, check it out. Severin put it out some years back on like their, it's not a sister, but it's like a subsidiary. It's like Severin Kids. That's what I have, and we watched that the other night. Yeah, check it out, man. If you can get a hold of it and find it, it's an interesting movie. Some actually really good child actor performances in it as well. Satan says I have one original one sheet of peanut butter solution somewhere in my garage. That's awesome. That's a rarity right there. A question: are you ready to go to bed yet? Yeah, I'm kind of getting there. I'm ready to go take a piss actually, because I've been sitting here for 3.5 hours drinking these Guinnesses, and I'm starting to feel it coming on. So I think we're going to be winding it down here in just a second. Let's see. Any other questions here before we Oh, pickups. Yeah, let me show that off real quick here. I've just been going through here. You had a bunch of shit set over here to the side. I'll go through these really quick. You guys can comment on them. Let me know what you think. Picked up a few books at the behest of our buddy Matt Landrum. I did start Stephen King's Dark Tower series with the Gunslinger. I am about 60% done with this thing. Enjoying it so far. It's really weird. I kind of like where they're going with it. So pick this up. Kind of dig it. Also, after reading the original Exorcist, I have to read this one now because I've come to terms with the fact that I kind of like. I think I like the movie better than the original part 3, but I picked up William Peter Blatty's Legion. So I still need to crack this open. I'm going to start this one after I finish with the Gunslinger. And the big one here, Romero related, I did finally pick up, and I think I mentioned this last week, but I did finally pick up Daniel Krause's Partially Devoured. And I started reading this Monday. Started on it. I'm already almost about halfway through this thing because it is such a good read. It's so interesting. There's such good shit in this book. He literally breaks down Night of the Living Dead minute by minute, shot by shot, and has such interesting, stories and theories and stuff. I'm thoroughly impressed with this so far. I can't wait to finish it. At this rate, I might be done with it by the time next week rolls around. And yeah, just reading it, I would love to get Daniel Krause on the show. I'm thinking about trying to reach out to him, get him on the show for talking to Romero and kind of finding out more about it and talk about the book. So I highly recommend if you guys love Romero, if you guys love Night of the Living Dead, this is I've been reading a lot of Romero stuff lately, and this is right at the top for me of just like I gotta keep going. And I'm learning a whole lot of new stuff about Night of the Living Dead in this as well. This really good, about 4 or 5 page portion of the book dedicated to Dwayne Jones and his life and his career, and talking about what Dwayne Jones ended up doing after Night of the Living Dead, why he didn't, why he never worked with Romero and those guys again after Night of the Living Dead, kind of talking about, his career and what he did, his acting career after Night of the Living Dead and his teaching and really, really interesting stuff. So yeah, highly recommended if you guys haven't picked this up yet. Get it, check it out. Partially Devoured by Daniel Krause. And also picked these up again at the inspired by our good buddy Matt Landrum with his video Spirit of a Place. Did end up picking up the Remembering Monroeville book here. It's a short little read here, all about the history of Monroeville, going all the way back to its beginning and then all the way through to modern times, the Monroeville Mall and everything that we've come to love about the place, over time. There's some pretty cool photos of like the Ice Palace from the mall. And so yeah, just started this one. I've read about a chapter or so of it. So I'll be working on this one as we go. You can pick that up. You can find that on eBay. I think I saw one on eBay the other day for like $5. So if you're interested in the history of Monroeville and the Monroeville Mall, check it out. And then I ended up getting this. Our good buddy Larry hipped me to this. It sounded super interesting. Sounded like something I needed to get my hands on. Apparently it's a pretty hard find these days, and I didn't know much about it until Larry sent it to me. But like I said, I the guy that was selling it, I shot him an offer. He accepted, and now I can't wait to read it. But it's called Savini, the Wizard of Gore. With the forward by William Lustig, by Paul J. Brown and Nigel J. Burrell. And it's basically just, it's full of just, if you guys can see that, my light sucks, so it's not going to be as bright as it probably needs to be, but there's full of photos, memorabilia, behind the scenes stuff from Savini's career. Let me roll this back here. I don't even see that. Yeah, it's the fucking Light has gone dim on me tonight. So, but yeah, it's full stuff, and it's basically, I think it's like 70 pages or so. It's just it's a long, in-depth interview that they conducted with Tom Savini. This came out in 1997, I want to say. I haven't started it yet. I'm looking forward to digging in and reading all about this. Apparently, Savini talks about Night 90 and his experiences working on Night 90. And apparently goes into detail about the horrific experience of working on Night 90 in terms of like the cast and I guess at one point what Larry was saying, the crew kind of all turned against Tom at one point. So yeah, very cool to have. I'm looking forward to digging in, reading it. It kind of covers Tom's entire career. Like I said, really cool photos. So yeah, Savini, Wizard of Gore, and I think this was a UK release back in the day. You can see it, £11.95, mate, for sale to adults only. So yeah, pick those up, and then movie-wise, I'll go ahead and knock these out. I already showed you guys Lisa and the Devil. These are some that I like. A couple of these I haven't seen yet, actually, but talk about that. Al Pacino, Dog Day Afternoon. Did not own this on Blu-ray. Had to have it. Had to pick it up. So there it is. Love anything Pacino from that time period. Speaking of Fulci, one of Fulci's more underrated flicks from the late 70s, The Psychic. This was the film he did right before Zombie. And a very underrated Fulci film, in my opinion. It's not quite a giallo, I wouldn't say. It's more of a suspense thriller with some giallo elements to it, I think. But Psychic, Lucio Fulci, who put this one out? Scorpion releasing did this one. This is a movie I've always wanted to see because I'm a huge Last House on the Left fan, but I've never gotten a chance to see it until now. I still haven't watched it. Gonna check it out. But Ingmar Bergman's The Virgin Spring, from the Criterion Collection. You guys have seen The Virgin Spring? Apparently, I mean, this is the direct inspiration that Wes Craven drew for his film Last House on the Left. Of course, 1960, won the Academy Award 1960 for Best Foreign Language Film. And I love Bergman for the most part. Anything Bergman does, I'm pretty into. So I'm excited to finally get a chance to check this one out. Kind of bridge the gaps there between two of my favorite things. Bergman's weird artsy fartsy films from the 60s and 70s and Last House on the Left. Hell yeah. Then another underrated film I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough, but Jacob's Ladder. I didn't own this on. I have it on DVD, but I didn't have it on Blu-ray yet. So I picked up Jacob's Ladder, a movie that I feel like. Speaking of Silent Hill earlier, I feel like Jacob's Ladder was a big inspiration on Silent Hill. There's especially a lot of the imagery in Silent Hill that you can directly correlate to Jacob's Ladder, in my opinion. So. Again, another underrated film from the 90s, 1990, I think. And we talked about this one earlier, In the Mouth of Madness, the Scream Factory release. Finally picked this up on Blu-ray. Again, one of those movies that scared the absolute shit out of me when I was a kid, and watching it back the other night, I can see why. It's still very, very effective. Great effects. Very, very good John Carpenter film. Again, when we talked about it earlier, The Dead Zone, David Cronenberg's The Dead Zone, Stephen King's The Dead Zone, whatever you want to call it. One that, I for the longest time wasn't the biggest fan of, gave it another shot, and ended up, liking it fairly well. Like, it worked a little better for me. I actually kind of liked the movie a little bit better than the book. The book to me just kind of drug a little bit. So, yeah. Dead Zone, Cronenberg, Stephen King. Another Stephen King property. Cujo, baby. Cujo. I haven't seen Cujo in years. But it's one of those, it's like, growing up, like anytime you came across like a fucking stray dog or something, it was like, you just immediately think of Cujo. But I haven't seen Cujo in forever. Didn't own it on anything, so I found it was like $5. I was like, yeah, I gotta pick up Cujo. So I'll go back and rewatch that again here soon. Now I'm a fan of the original film, but I've actually never seen either one of these sequels because I've never heard anything good about them. But the fact that I own the original, I feel like I should own the sequels as well. And I'm talking about Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, and Candyman Day of the Dead. Not the good Day of the Dead, apparently, but this is the Vestron release of Day of the Dead. What are your thoughts on the sequels to Candyman? Because I'm a fan of the original, but I've never actually, not that I remember. Maybe I saw them or something on Showtime or something back in the day when I was younger, in bits and pieces, but I've never really heard much good about either one of the Candyman sequels. But I figure, what the hell? Why not complete the collection? That's the way my brain works. So, what do you guys think about that? And then last but not least, I already owned this already on DVD and on Blu-ray, but it's one of those situations that we were talking about with Landrum a couple weeks ago, where you come across something in the wild and you're just like, all right, I gotta buy that, even though I already own it. You don't see that in the wild very often. I gotta have it. As of course, the Great Cannibal Holocaust, the one I mentioned earlier, that my daughter pulled out and was like, "Hey, well, what's this?" I'm like, no, we're not gonna watch this one. But again, like Cannibal Holocaust, it's one of those movies that's, you don't want to like it because it's so crude. It's literally got animal death in it. It's not an enjoyable film to watch, but it's a good movie. Like, it's very well made. It's so effective. The music in it, the performances in it are so good that you believe it's real. It's told from a first person point of view. It's, the first person camera style for most of the movie. The movie was so realistic and so well made that the director, Diodato, ended up having to go to court to prove that he didn't actually kill the actors. They were going to arrest him and put him in prison, but he actually had to bring the actors to court to prove that no, they're alive. It was just a movie. Just, what else is there to say about Cannibal Holocaust at this point? If you've never seen it, you may not want to, because there's a lot of disturbing and upsetting shit in this movie. But if you just watch it as a film and you just kind of take it for what it is, you can really kind of see that it's actually a really well made, really good movie, actually. So yeah, Cannibal Holocaust. So that's what I've kind of, those are my pickups here over the past few weeks or so. Acres of movies. What's going on? What horror movie do you watch the most? Take a guess. Dawn of the Dead. I mean, Dawn of the Dead is one of those movies I can just put on any time, and it's just, but there are a couple of movies like similar to that. I could say the same thing about most Romero films, really. You guys know I'm insane. But Dawn is just one that literally, if there's nothing else that I'm really interested in watching, I'll just watch I'll either watch Dawn of the Dead, one of the versions of Dawn of the Dead, or I'll watch something about Dawn of the Dead. Case in point, the audio commentary, again, that I've heard like 10 times at this point. But you never know. There may be something I missed. What mythical creature needs a new horror movie? That's a good question, actually. Huh. So like a movie monster or something that could use like a revamping? Like, I think the modern zombie needs a fresh take, and they don't need to run or fly or talk or dance or anything like that. But they need. I'm waiting for that next zombie movie, like a 28 Days Later, to come along and kind of reinvent the formula a little bit and show me something that I haven't seen 100 times already. So I mean, for me, it would be the zombie genre. There have been zombie films that I've seen and liked over the past decade or so. Train to Busan, Queens of the Dead, even. I don't care what any of y'all say. I like that movie. Um, but they didn't really do anything new with the genre. They told a different story that I liked in the context of a zombie film, but they didn't really do anything different with it. So I'd be curious to see what happens over the next decade or so if somebody else can kind of come along with a new take on the genre of zombie films, I guess. But that's a good question, actually, because they all kind of go in circles, it seems like. So appreciate it, Jeff. You too, my man, and have a good rest of your night. And I'm gonna get off here. I'm starting to lose my voice. I've been talking too goddamn much tonight, but I'm trying to set a record for the most hours streamed in a weekend by a horror YouTuber. So, but no, you guys have been awesome in the chat tonight. This has been great. It's funny. I always, before I do like an Ask Me Anything or just like an open forum, open topic type of show, I always have stuff set aside to do just in case like nobody has a question, nobody gives a fuck, or it's just like, whatever. But you guys have been tearing it up in the chat tonight and keeping this thing going. I wouldn't be going 3.5, 4 hours if you guys weren't keeping me entertained and keeping my brain lubricated and keeping the good questions coming to. Like, you guys have had some fucking awesome questions tonight, so I appreciate it. You guys are great. Yeah, I'm really enjoying Gunslinger so far. Like, Matt made a point to tell me, he's like, yeah, the first book, it's kind of a slog here and there, but stick with it. Just stick with it. And I'm kind of excited because I haven't found it to be a slog at all up to this point. Like, I'm actually really interested in like the world that Stephen King creates in this book, and I know that there's more to come. So yeah, I'm digging it so far. Steven says, great movie, Alvin. Yeah, Dog Day Afternoon, legendary powerhouse performance, Al Pacino. Yeah, love Dog Day Afternoon. Just one of those movies, man. It's just like I could just turn it on and watch it anytime. Yeah, Jacob's Ladder. Great movie. There's the specific scene in Jacob's Ladder that has always stuck with me. It has nothing to do with any of the creatures or anything like that. But even when I was how old would I have been? I was probably a teenager. First time I saw Jacob's Ladder, rented it from the video store. But the scene that always got me, even from the moment that I saw it as a teenager and didn't quite understand it, was the scene where he starts to die, and they have to put him in the bathtub with all the ice and stuff. And as soon as he goes in the bathtub, he kind of flashes back to, his life with his, his wife, and Macaulay Culkin, his son is alive, and he's like, oh, I just had the worst dream. I was living in an apartment in New York, and it's like, when you first watch it, you're like, oh, was all that a dream? Is like, okay, so he's back to, this is his life. He's still with his wife. He still has his kids. He still has his house. He still has everything. He's not, But as it goes on, you realize, oh, this is the dream, and he's back. He comes back to the hell that is, where he's actually at in the moment, and you just see him laying there in that tub as he comes back to life, and you just see the tear. It had something so powerful about that scene. It always stuck with me, and I'm just like, you always worry about being that guy where you're like, I just don't know. I didn't know how good I had it, until, the tear falls. And you're just like, oh shit, now I'm in this apartment with Jezebel. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've always loved Jacob's Ladder. 100%. Oh, Kenneth, thank you very much, man. $20 super chat. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad I can come in here and entertain you and bullshit and talk about movies and keep the spirit alive. And I very much appreciate it, my man. Here, just for that, we're gonna do it one more time here. Well, I'll hit you with this. Here we go.
You never know.
You never know. So thank you very much for thank you very much for that, Ken. I appreciate it, my man. Thank you. I'm getting tired. I'm getting sloppy here. I'm about to piss myself, honestly. So I'm gonna run through these real quick, guys. Where was I at? Then I'm gonna hop out of here so everybody can go to bed. And I can say that I streamed 8 solid hours this weekend. I worked an 8-hour shift this weekend on YouTube. So there you go, folks. There you go, folks. uh Cannibal Holocaust is educational, says Steven. If you've ever wanted to know what Donatello looks like on the inside. Yeah, I never knew turtles had all that like white marshmallowy stuff. You know, what was that about? I thought that was interesting. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of with you. The animal stuff is kind of unnecessary, but it kind of drives the point home. It's like, why are we so much more affected by animals being killed than we are seeing humans get killed? Because I'm kind of that way, you know, like yeah, I can't watch an animal being tortured or killed or whatever. Like, yeah. But I hear the good thing about Cannibal Holocaust is, or the good thing about Cannibal 1 o'clock in the morning. The good thing about Cannibal Holocaust is that all the animals that they did kill in the movie were actually cooked and eaten by the villagers that actually lived in the places where they shot. So there's a positive to that, I guess, that it didn't go to waste. It wasn't for nothing. Those animals were going to get killed and eaten anyway, so they just decided to film it, and yeah. So take that with you. Robert says, soon I'm going to rewatch all of Romero's zombie movies, one each day. Do it. I'm thinking about doing that. Like, maybe just do a day-long stream one day. I feel like I could do it if I can do 4 hours here. But just go through, just watch them all. Maybe tag in and out every now and then. I'll bring, Grande or Landrum or, Synth or somebody on. Just tag them in and be like, all right, I got to go piss, eat, and, touch grass for a little bit. But that'd be an interesting concept. I don't know. I don't know if I'm that crazy yet, but we'll see. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Not a good new take though, in my opinion. Although I haven't seen the second one, and I will say Todd, Revival House, Riverman did recommend it, and we both weren't fans of the first 28 Years Later, but he did say the Bone Temple was good, so that has kind of piqued my interest. Maybe I will give Bone Temple a chance. I'll give them another chance, one more chance. Casey Batman, 1985. Hi, Casey Batman. Thanks for hopping on and joining us. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need to. Everybody's like, yeah, fuck this. I'm going to bed. It's late. Good night, Bonnie. Always a pleasure having you in here. Have a good rest of your night and good rest of the weekend. Who'd win an arm wrestling match? You or I? You want to find out, sir? You want to find out? I'm pretty good when it comes to arm wrestling. I will say that. Well, I don't know if we'll find that out or not. Satan's going to eat. Catch ya. I'm gonna go take a piss, guys. So I'm with you. Everybody's gonna start dropping out. I'm gonna start dropping out too. Appreciate it again, guys. I will say, coming up here, I do want to say that over the next few weeks leading up to Living Dead weekend, next weekend, as I mentioned, I will have Talking Romero with Brandon Salisbury and Tom Robinault of George A. Romero's Resident Evil. They are working on a new Resident Evil project that I can't wait to talk about, a fan film project. Going to talk about that with them. Of course, all about Romero, fanaticism with Romero, and Living Dead weekend, because I know Brandon will be there. I don't know if Tom will be there or not, but we'll find out. So that's next weekend. Got to have those guys on. The following weekend, let me look at the schedule, because I get these kind of mixed up here. Following weekend, May the 16th, Saturday night, Document of the Dead fan commentary. So anybody wants to join for that, I have a couple of names in mind, but anybody wants to hop on for a Document of the Dead fan commentary, it's open to anybody that wants to join on. So hit me up, shoot me an email or a private message, however you want to get a hold of me. Let me know you want to do that. Then the following weekend, as we build up on the road to Living Dead weekend. We're going to be doing it again. But this time we're going to be doing Zombie, Dawn of the Dead, the Argento cut fan commentary. So if you want to join for that one, that'll be May the 23rd. Hit me up. All are welcome. All are welcome. All are welcome. Hit me up. Come on for that one. And then the 30th, Romero Fan Roundtable number 8, Countdown to Living Dead weekend. If you want to join on that one, hit me up as well. Open up the floor for anybody and all who wants to join. So, and then of course, June the 7th, Sunday, June the 7th, weekend before Living Dead weekend preview show. Ask Larry, Lawrence DeVincent, the man himself will be with us, and he'll be answering all your questions, everything you've ever wanted to know about Dawn of the Dead, Romero, Living Dead weekend. He will be here to answer your questions and hang out. So looking forward to that. So yeah, that's what's coming up. Like I said, if you guys want to join in on any of those fan commentaries or the roundtable, hit me up. Shoot me an email, contactalfaromero@gmail.com. Shoot me a private message, or get in contact with me. However you can get in contact with me. Like I said, it's open to any and all. So let's do it. There you go. Maybe we'll do something like that sometime soon. Maybe we'll do like I don't know, for a charity, for a cause or something. I don't know. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Steven says, you really believe that, Alpha, that an Italian film crew in the jungle and they actually stopped to make sure they were eaten by locals? That's what I heard. I don't know, but it wasn't unheard of at the time. You're right about that. I mean, Diodato wasn't the only one that did it. There's quite a bit of similar stuff, and Cannibal Ferox and a lot of those jungle cannibal movies back in the day. But that's what they claim. So we'll go with that. Larry, talk to you later, my man. Have a good rest of your night. Justin, always a pleasure. Good to have you hanging out in the chat tonight, my man. Robert, always good to see you. Steven, always a pleasure. Always good to see you as well. And I appreciate you guys. I will be back next weekend, like I said, with Brandon Salisbury and Tom Robinault. Talk all things Romero, Resident Evil, and should be a fun time. Make sure you give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, watching for the first time. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. But until then, everybody have a good rest of your night, rest of the weekend, good rest of the week ahead. But stay safe, stay prepared, but always stay scared.